Well, I don't know who to believe, guys. Am I supposed to believe CM Punk's a liar or Roman Reigns is distorting reality? You know, you could have your two favorite wrestlers excited to see who they're going to face at WrestleMania. They end up facing each other, and now they're just tearing each other apart. It's like when the parents fight. You're like, no, why can't you all get along? A lot. We're going to throw some chat comments up. People have been debating this in the chat, whether this was a good productive segment to build anticipation or counterproductive, because for various reasons. Who won the battle? Who went too far? What's too meta? What was a tweet? Why are we not supposed to know what that is? All kinds of thoughts. And then, of course, there's people who just love this and think it's very contemporary and edgy. So, Paul, 31st, we got two co-hosts tonight, Joshua White and Paul Weigle. So you guys listening will know. I'll try to point out Paul and Joshua more often so you get used to their voices if you're listening to us on the podcast side of things. If you're watching us live on YouTube, the hint on who's talking is whose mouth is moving. And oh no, Joshua's ruining it already. It's going to be trouble. Paul, give me your thoughts on Reigns and Punk closing out Raw, tearing each other apart verbally, and pulling from a lot of history.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I'm definitely in the pro camp. This was a lot of fun. It reminded me of some of the Attitude Era promos. This is why Punk is still around. This is why he's champion. I feel like he can barely get it done in the ring, but when he is on the mic, he is on. And it's true, the tweet comment was a little bit confusing. I didn't know what they were referring to at first, but you could tell they were both drawing on on real life aspects of their personality, and I think it hit. I think it worked.
What, Paul? Before I throw to Joshua, where are you philosophically for the listeners on whether pro wrestling should have disputes that stay in canon, and it's about how to win a title? And I'll point out one thing that stood out that I think some people are going to think is a great line, and other people are going to go, that ruined it for me, which is Roman Reigns going, because you complain in the back and you whine and bitch, you're not a good champion. And to me, like, you should be champion if you're the guy who wins in the ring. So when you start going down that road, I start feeling like, wait a second, what are we doing here? We're breaking, and it's sort of the whole, pipe bomb promo thing where it's like, if we can't just tell a story based on the core structure of wrestling, which is there's a championship and the champion is the one who wins matches. And if you win by cheating, we call you out for it and say, what do you have to be proud of? That should be the core fundamental aspect, I would argue, of almost everything. Now, are there exceptions? And is this one of them where you just go, you can't cling to that too much. People know. Let's make them wonder if this is more real than everything else. And if it feels more real than everything else, maybe they'll sell more tickets. So kind of, I hope that didn't sound like too much of a loaded framing of it. I'm trying to be actually somewhat fair in that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that if the promo kind of breaks the premise, like you're saying, if it's sort of if Roman was saying like, yeah, you're not a real champion because you're a big phony, that does kind of bring you out of the moment. But I don't think that's what he did. I think he was saying, yeah, you're champion, but you're also a big phony, and this is why I hate you. So I didn't think those two things were mutually exclusive. I certainly, I agree with you that can it go too far. I think this was kept it on the right side of things.
Yeah, fair enough. I think for me, I'd like to see it tweaked a little bit and have Roman go, that's why no one's proud that you're a champion. And that's why it's my job to beat you in the ring and take it from you. As opposed to, you shouldn't be chosen to be champion because you don't represent as a locker room leader the way that champion should, which is rallying people to the cause of entertaining the fans and creating a nice, happy environment backstage and being chill. Roman's super chill, except when pushed. Punk is like never chill, except when he's performing chill, so we can say he's chill. Roman, you can steal that line for next week. Joshua.
Yeah, I'm with Paul on this. I think they maybe
this was a bad idea. No, I'm kidding. No. Oh, go ahead. I love it.
Like, they don't necessarily need that line, but I didn't feel like Roman implied that Punk didn't earn the championship, or he implied maybe he's not a good representative champion for his theoretical backstage things, which of course is based on history and reality. But it's really more of a wink and a nod towards that kind of known existing history. And normally I would kind of be against bringing that much quote-unquote reality into it, but like they're both such massive stars and people know so much about what goes on around them, and that I think they brought it back enough to the Roman's like thesis, which is I hate you and here are reasons why. Roman didn't, I think, give any reason why he'll beat him in the ring. It was all reasons why he wants to beat him in the ring.
Yeah, and my argument is I wish that was, and maybe I'll listen back and be like, oh, I was a little unfair to the framing. I think it could have been a little more clear in the way Roman phrased it. It seemed to me like you shouldn't be chosen to be champion because you're not good for morale and you're a bitch behind the scenes, as opposed to I want to beat you so badly because you make everybody miserable and I want to take the title from you for that reason. I felt it was in a bit of an ambiguous zone, and it might just be up for what people wanted to hear from it. But to me, I want wording in these promos to steer way away from the notion of you shouldn't be picked to be champion. And I have a problem with the bookers choosing you. And you draw money in Chicago, as Roman said. Yes, you draw, but that's not enough to make up for what a punk you are behind the scenes. So to me, I'd like a little more clarity in that regard. Another talking point is the line early on. Punk goes, I got thin skin. I don't have thin skin. I don't complain. I don't worry about what people say on the internet. Like 4 weeks ago, he was in a horrible mood, and I was told it's because he was upset all week about something that somebody said to him online, and he carried it with him on air in a weird promo where he lashed out at something that nobody had context for. And then he comes out and gaslights us and goes, I'm not worried about what people say online. And I'm like, okay, it lost me a little bit for a couple minutes there after that brazen lie. And then Roman, takes some digs at him. I'm not totally on Team Roman on this, but I think Punk has a little bit more material to pick on here. I think there's some things to pick on with Roman too. But then so Roman says some things that Punk doesn't like, and so Punk and tries to leave the ring. So Punk flips out and shows. I mean, I don't know. That looked like somebody with thin skin. He's like, don't you leave the ring. With all that bullshit you said, I got a lot to say to you. And it looked like he kind of snapped. But then he says, after Roman says, you're not as happy to be here as you claim. He didn't put it quite that nicely, but that's essentially his message. And Punk goes, I'm going to bury you next to your dead dad. Like, that's the what? I felt like maybe that's a little much for just someone saying they think you have a bad attitude. That seems like something Hangman Page would say in like a fourth from the top feud that just gets started. But, at least in this case, there's big history. So Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was nice of Christian Cage to pop in and give Punk some line to finish that up. It seemed a little stiff, but it is crazy that he was talking about how not thin-skinned he was. First of all, he's known to be maybe one of the most thin-skinned people ever to step foot in a ring. Yeah. And then his character just proves it the very next instant. Like, I still kind of like the line. I kind of like it's like a very aggressive way to end the night. I still think their promo from a couple weeks ago, that first one I did, was more electric and generally better.
Yeah, I did too.
But I don't think this was bad. I thought this lived up to a good main event promo battle between two pros.
I think I'm hearing Joshua background noise, so I don't know if your mic is on or maybe your computer mic is on instead. It feels like we're picking up the whole room. Background noise. So maybe if you can check a setting on that. I don't think that was, I muted Paul to see if I could still hear it, and I think I did. So anyway, mark for edit. I don't know. Paul, what's your take on the I'm gonna bury you next to your dad line?
Yeah, that was a little bit much, but I gotta say the fact that CM Punk is denying, that he's thin-skinned when it is so clearly true. I mean, it was part of the excitement and part of the drama, and the best part for me was when he said, I don't care if you like me or if you hate me or even if you love me, which, we don't really believe is true. But then he says, but you will not disrespect me. And he might as well have bbeen talking to Jungle Boy, right? I mean, we know that he cannot tolerate that. And so it did feel like it had an element of reality to it in the best possible way.
I've introduced the two key aspects of this as talking points before we move to introductions, and then I want to read some of the chat comments, and that'll certainly stir some conversation. I want to get a high or low point or both from each of you, just kind of quick, because maybe there's things that you have in your mind that I didn't bring up, and then we can expand on them maybe in the next segment. Paul, how about you? Was there a high point and a low point, one or the other, or both that I didn't bring up yet?
Of the promo, or
the promo?
show?
No, promo.
Yeah, I thought, it was a little bit confusing. I thought Punk or Roman saying, "We brought you back," and it's a little confusing. Like, who is we? Is he one of the decision makers in WWE? So that was a little bit confusing. And a high point was Punk pointing out what we all could tell, that there was these huge bags under his eyes, and he immediately brought attention to it and used it as a burn on Roman, saying he was going to have to carry him all the way to WrestleMania. So those were two points for me.
Punk always has bags under his eyes. He looks like he has rubbed his eyes and not slept for years. That's been a trait of his for like 15 years. But his right eye was especially reddened. Like, I think he was self-aware, self-conscious of that. And that's why he brought it up. I haven't heard him bring up the bags under his eyes, but I mean, Roman's got these, like, it looks like soft focus on him, but it's the same camera, so it can't be. But Roman looks like he's got this Hollywood soft focus on his perfect face with no wrinkles or bags under his eyes, except, when he smiles. And then you got Punk, who just looks like, he hasn't slept, a solid 6 hours, much less 8, in about 27 years. And so
he looked even more haggard than usual tonight, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, they're only 7 years apart in age. I mean, 7 is not nothing, but it's not like Roman is 24. Or, Austin Theory, still just, in his 20s or something. So, Joshua, same question to you. What was there, high or low point for you that stood out, or both?
Yeah. No, I agree. I actually like the line that Punk turned that around with, like, I'm going to need these bags on my eyes to carry your ass to WrestleMania. I thought that's a good line.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I liked that they brought up the tweet that Punk was essentially responding to with that, because did everybody read Roman's tweet from 2 days ago? Maybe not. It was like a small news story, but I don't remember exactly what it said. But apparently he responded directly to it. So that was kind of a low point for me. The actual highlight for me was when Punk brought it back around to an actual wrestling match, and why he might win that, being that Roman, during his impressive reign, always had backup, and now he's all alone. I thought that was a very important point going, especially into the actual matchup. I thought was probably the best part of it for me.
Yeah. The tweet I believe they're talking about is Roman saying, he's not sure who looked more tired, the crowd or the champion. A harsh dig at, I mean, you see, the John Cena Rock thing, I reported it at the time, and then Brian Gewirtz confirmed it in his book and with me when I interviewed him, longtime writer for The Rock, that in that instance, Rock thought, I mean, I'm not quoting or even paraphrasing Brian Gewirtz. My reporting on this, and in general, Gewirtz backed it up, which is Rock thought he would be fine against Cena. Like, I'm the best talker ever. And then he's like, say whatever you want, John. I'm going to say what I'm going to want. Rock went out and said it. And then Cena's like, whoa, I'm rubbing my hands together now. I got this, guys. And then Cena came out and just decimated Rock the next week. And people were like, holy, I mean, my God, that's crazy. And then they went back and forth, and it was fun. They each scored points, but Cena was more on than Rock and more practiced. I get the feeling there's, some of that going on here, which is, and some wrestlers have permission to go wherever they want without checking with others first, and others don't. There's a line in the hierarchy. Like Drew McIntyre, for all he doesn't have permission to shoot without like checking with people. I think Roman and Punk do. Like Cody doesn't. He's got to kind of like. I just think Punk and Roman are on another level when it comes to we can go at each other. Now, that doesn't mean that there's genuine dislike. It doesn't mean there isn't, but they want to make it feel real. And I think kind of like with Rock and Cena, you get a feeling that Roman's like, oh, Punk says I got permission to say anything, huh? Let's have fun with this. And then Punk's like, I can't act like I'm defensive and have thin skin. So I'm gonna be okay with it, but I'm not okay with it. I gotta tweet. I gotta yell. And I think the idea is, and there's more sober moments, more calm. They just think this makes for good TV. It's compelling. It's being encouraged behind the scenes. I opened with this. I think it's compelling and fun, and I think it works for a lot of people. But I think there's a big part of the fan base that a lot of people don't think about which is they just want to like Punk and Roman. And now they're coming out saying all these things. Like, if you watch your local sports teams and the local broadcasts, like you don't hear the same things that you do on national TV about your players or the media coverage of them. They are sycophants. They're paid to promote a product. And then if you listen to national TV or talk radio, like, oh yeah, this player that you love, oh man, he's such a diva behind the scenes, and these two don't get along, and he's always complaining about not having minutes, even if he's just jacking up shots. You're like, I want to like my team. I don't want to listen to you anymore. I just want to live my fantasy world about the good guys are on my team and the bad guys are there. There's a little bit of that when I watch this. I think WWE underestimates that there's a big percentage of fans who watch that are not watching this podcast. They're not on Twitter. Nor should anybody be at this point with who's running it, but that's a whole other topic. And the idea that you are appealing to all fans, I think, is an illusion. So I think you should, or it's just wrong. So I think you should understand that you might be giving something up by going to this place where both guys are just tearing each other apart. And by the end, you can say one guy scored more points than others. You're going to find someone else who says the other. But I think I don't want to say the majority, but a sizable double-digit percentage of fans who walk away from that going, I don't know how I feel right now about either of them or wanting to see them fight. So I don't know. Do you think, Joshua, do you think I'm overstating that in the modern era, that there's a big part of the fan base that watches that and they're just sort of kind of bummed out?
I think you're not wrong. I think there's definitely, especially in the modern era, especially among like casual fans, there's people who like both, want to cheer for both. They want both guys. They want to just go out there, have fun, right? And have a good match and have good promos, which is what they did, for the record. You might be overstating how people might be bummed out. Like, I don't think they said anything so damaging that, like, well, now I just don't respect CM Punk. Is he bad behind the scenes? That seems really unlikely. Even now, maybe there's children who have turned on CM Punk now because he's a whiny punk-ass bitch, I believe was the phrasing.
Yeah. That he says he likes to be here, but all he does is complain behind the scenes.
Right, and see, that mostly works with us adults because we know that might be true.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think there's a lot of people that are upset or going to like one much less than the other because of something like this. I think in general it's entertaining enough to just kind of push aside those minor inconveniences.
Yeah, Josh, we get a little closer to your mic. I think your volume is lower than Paul's and mine, or certainly lower than Paul's if you can. Perfect. Okay, now it's too much. Paul, your thoughts on that, and then we'll break and throw to some chat comments to see what people have to say about what we've been saying so far.
Yeah, well, Roman's saying that Punk's fans are a bunch of 30-year-old versions living with their moms. I mean, that was not just a shot at Punk; that was a shot at his fandom too.
Yeah.
So I can see people looking at this and neither of them coming off, particularly well. But for the most part, it's all in fun. And I have to say, one of the good things about WWE is they do things in different ways, right? So we'll get the mutual respect, the John Cena versus AJ Styles, where it's like a love fest, and then they wrestle. And then we get this where, two faces are digging into each other. So I do appreciate the variety.
Yeah. All right, very good. Let's pause and introduce ourselves on the show, and then we'll get to chat comments and some other things from tonight's episode, too, including Paul Heyman getting his head stomped into the mat. All right, this is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show following the Monday, March 2nd, 2026 episode of WWE Raw. I am Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch Weekly Newsletter. Latest paper copy right here. Looking at the WrestleMania ticket sales, cover story, and a back page with a bunch of speculation what they'll do with Drew McIntyre and the WWE title scenario and various things they could do. And I also write the Wade Keller News Bulletin. I got another one out after being down and out and behind in February because of illness. Got another Wade Keller News Bulletin up today with my reaction to the WWE title situation, more SmackDown based, and then also the WWE Hall of Fame announcement and some thoughts on Styles and Steph and where they're hosting the event. Some other things too in that. So check that out. That's a single page PDF for VIP members. An all text version is also available if you just want to read it on your iPhone. And I read it. There's an audio version. So whatever format you like, we got you covered. PWTorch.com/GoVIP is where you get information on unlocking all the VIP exclusive content for those who support us that way. But we're here to talk Raw on a podcast, which I host, which has my name on it. I have another podcast that I host with my name on it. That is the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast, as opposed to this, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show. If you're discovering us on YouTube, thank you. Welcome. Please like, please subscribe, please comment below, all that good stuff. Set alerts for when we go live. But we do have an audio-only, podcast feed-only version also of what we do that is not on YouTube, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling podcast. And that includes the weekly flagship. Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net joins me tomorrow. You'll want to search Wade Keller in your podcast app and subscribe to that for free, or go VIP and you got the commercial-free version of it. But either way, works. And in the meantime, too, before we record tomorrow, you can send in your questions for the show to wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. So if you have a question, topic suggestion, a pushback on something I've said or Jason said and on his site, or a rant or whatever, send it in. You can help give us a topic for the show tomorrow. wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to email us during tonight's show, wadekellerpostshow@gmail.com is the best way to do that. You can also live chat with us as noted earlier, and you can be a caller. And we got a couple people on hold already who we'll be getting to in just a moment. And by moment, I mean plural, because it won't be just one moment, 1 minute or two. It'll be a few, but hang in there. And the link to that being a caller is, as always, in my Raw report or my Dynamite or SmackDown report on Wednesdays and Fridays, of course. So it changes every time. So just click on my TV report. You're probably doing that anyway. Hopefully you are, reading what I have to say about the show, and you'll find the link. However, tonight I had a choir concert for my son that I went to, and I had to speed through Raw. I'm not comfortable doing it because I like to watch every second of everything of a show I'm covering. And so it gives me anxiety, but I got a lot of the high points. I got a lot done in like an hour of having to speed through it due to not watching video packages and commercials. But I did miss some of the in-ring action, which I'll go back and watch. But Joshua White has us covered. He wrote a detailed Raw report up on PWTorch and PWTorch VIP, the ad-free version for our members. And he is also one of the co-hosts today, along with Paul Weigle, who is PWTorch contributor also. Paul, you were scheduled first. And then when I was running so late, I'm like, we better get a second co-host to cover for me. But Paul, welcome to the show. Great to have you back in the co-host chair here.
Thanks for having me.
And tell people about your contributions to PWTorch. We just earlier today your WWE Rising and Fading Stars. I thought your take on Trick Williams was interesting. We might have to bring that up. And so tell people about your column that they should be reading at PWTorch.
Sure. So I write a weekly WWE Rising Stars and Fading Stars column, and focus on the performers who are, in my opinion, sort of punching above their weight, those who are outperforming their push, so to speak, and those who maybe are not quite living up to the hype, and projecting perhaps who's on the rise and perhaps who's a fading star. So it's a lot of fun. Post a new one every week, and I think you'll find some of my picks are controversial, which we may get to later.
Indeed. And Joshua, you cover Collision. You write the Collision TV report on weekends. It's become, I think they're just trying to impress you. It's become like a more relevant show, sometimes storyline promo-wise, but in terms of hyping it on Dynamite, they're giving more attention to it. Not every week is must-see in some of the categories, but it does seem like they've been putting a little more effort into having some marquee matches and stars on the show lately.
Yeah, I would argue that like none of the matches are must-see, but they're all, if you like wrestling, that would be good to see.
Yep.
There's almost always going to be a very good match. There's usually going to be just like baby steps of storylines that, if you're into that, they're there and you can read into them, and it's kind of fun to watch. And I appreciate it. If anything important ever happened, they would re-show it on Dynamite. Although, to be fair, they did open up this last week with MJF on the microphone setting up a match for Dynamite. So, I mean, that's bigger news than we ever get coming out of Collision. So that was exciting for me. And then I'm kind of excited to be away from the B show on the B company and be on the A show for the A company tonight. So that's nice for me.
Awesome. All right. Cool. So let's get back to conversation here. We'll do some more on Punk Roman, but won't do a ton because I do want to get to our callers here. But man, lots of people have a lot to say about this. I guess in reverse order, just to stay sort of sane, I'll throw some of these up here. Let's see. Okay, I'm having to scroll through all the ones that people posted while we were doing the show intros. Looks like they're mostly talking about other stuff. That makes things definitely easier for me. All right. Fauner 916 says, I really don't feel either Punk or Reigns did anything to flip fans to either side or turn them off from the match. Focusing on intensity in the heated nature of the rivalry, it's engaging. That is absolutely what they're going for. That is absolutely the argument for it. I am not in disagreement that those elements are there. I philosophically believe you can have those things, both of those things, and still keep it a little more in the realm of everything we say has to do with the merits of being champion is because you win, not because you're a good leader behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good leaders in the NBA who are riding the bench because they can't play anymore. But they're good leaders and people love them. And there's a lot of people playing starting minutes who are not, great leaders and might hold them back. But they play because they win. They help you win. I get nervous when I see references to social media, references to behind the scenes things that have not previously been in canon. Mm-hmm. And my antenna goes up like, okay, who are you talking to? Are you talking to the instant gratification, dopamine rush, social media people who you're obsessed with by hitting refresh all the time, or the people who really matter, who are the ones who have decided the empty seats at WrestleMania they're not going to fill? And I believe you can reach all those people with, as Fauner points out, the intensity and the heated nature of the rivalry, and it's deeply personal. You can accomplish that and not start talking to that slice of the audience that knows things that a lot of people watching are going, wait, Michael Cole might have referenced it earlier in the show, but like you're talking about stuff that people are like, they're not paying attention to the intensity as much as they're going, I feel left out. Like what about the Shield? And what about, like you said, Paul, we said okay to bring you back. Roman covered that in their previous promo. Like I had to green light you returning, but like it's still like who, like really, like you as a wrestler get to decide who gets hired. So I don't know. I think you can have both, and that's what I'm advocating for. I'm not against the things that people like. I'm for excluding the needless straying into social media territory or non-canon references. I think you can still be personal and still get a buzz on social media from doing that. Joshua, you want to add anything to that or react to that?
Well, nothing more than just agree with you. Like I'm agreeing with you in that, like you can still, like, even the people that like get like a little boop when they do like a behind the scenes thing, those same people will still appreciate a 100% in story, well delivered, well curated promo. Like it doesn't. Even the people that are into that will generally appreciate something completely kayfabe.
Yeah. And Mortegro Moonshade says, Roman seriously needs to stop calling Punk Phil. I get the idea that it's supposed to make things seem real and personal. He puts out in quotes, but it goes a step too far. You don't see Punk calling Roman Joe. I want to get your thoughts on that specific, but this hits kind of the macro point, which is my tendency is to feel a little insulted as a viewer who wants to watch an immersive wrestling show when people who are don't really hate each other or might have a gripe are amplifying that with the idea being they're really airing their grievances, when in reality they're just trying to sell tickets. Like I'm not offended by actors pretending to play a role. I get offended when an actor pretends the role they play is who they really are, when it isn't important to the story for me to enjoy it, for me to believe that. And when I start thinking, wait, is this true or not? Are they BSing me because they want to say, well, all the other stuff's fake, but I'm real? And I start getting distracted by evaluating that rather than just getting pulled into the world that they create, which is there's a high stake title on the line. They have different histories. They have a past. Pull from stuff in canon. Paul, what do you think about the name thing?
Yeah, it didn't bother me that much. I get what you're saying, that it reminds me, there's been glaring examples. Like when Kofi Kingston said, he gave a promo at one point and he said, I hate you. And this isn't Kofi Kingston, the superstar. This is really me talking now, as if everything else that happened on the show was just nonsense except for what he was saying. So I agree they can go, they certainly can go too far.
How about Joe and Phil? Yeah. I don't mind that either way. I'm just saying Joe and Phil, like, I don't think that's a huge, I mean, you can get away with doing it or not doing it.
Yeah, agreed. It didn't bother
Joshua?
Yeah, no, I didn't mind it once. He did say it again a second time, and just the way he said it was kind of a cadence that made you feel like he was saying something he wasn't supposed to, and you know he doesn't actually care. I thought it was the second one that bothered me. The first one didn't bother me. It seemed kind of smooth, like he was talking to Phil. The second one was like, Phil, and I'm not supposed to call you that, but now I did, so let's fight. That seems stupid to me.
And like, is it in canon whether CM Punk minds being called Phil or not, or is it the tone or the context? It's like Roman's going, I'm going to call you Phil, and boy, that's a zinger. And Punk could just be like, well, that's my name. It's not what I prefer to be called. It's not what most people call me. But if you think you're getting under my skin, you're not. I mean, that could be his attitude. And then people are like, well, now Roman's being a jerk, or no, I don't like that. I don't like people calling me Phil. That's for my family, my friends at work on this. But I don't think they've my point is they haven't really established that. So you don't really know how to take it. And then you just come up with, this is a shoot brother, that like when Roman's just basically going, well, when I talk about CM Punk, that's part of the fake stuff. But now that I said Phil, it's kind of the real thing. It's like, no, it's not. You're just trying to sell WrestleMania tickets. Like, this isn't any more real than anything else, no matter whether the context it relates to reality or not. They just want you to think it is, but I don't know. I think wrestling sells when you just play your character and get intense within the context of the stakes and don't go other places. But Darrell disagrees with me in the chat. Wade, I think you're wrong, Wade. The casual fan loves to see people go at each other. They want to see two people they like go all out on each other because people like to see a winner. I just point to Bernie and Hillary. Like, no, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. People did not want to, they took sides, and then a bunch of Bernie voters went vote for Hillary, and then we get this. Primaries can really hurt voter turnout. And I do think, I will push back and say, I think there's some people who watch this, and absolutely, Darrell, you're right. And it might be worth a trade-off. There's no scientific way to know, but don't disregard the notion that people who like both now kind of don't like both of them a little bit less. And they think, oh, that was kind of Punk went a little too far at the end, and Roman is kind of a jerk of that snide Phil thing, and I don't know. He's speaking out of school. Like, can't you just talk? However, that said, if you take away everything that I'm saying to take away, I think there's still enough material to cut a good promo. But does it create that? Does it feel like it's differentiating? I don't know. Yeah. So I think my thinking is Drew does a better job than Roman going after Punk on things that are more canon. Am I right, or you think I'm remembering that wrong, Joshua? I see Paul nodding.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, Drew does everything better than Roman Reigns except being a star. But yeah, you're right. For some reason, when Drew goes quote unquote meta, he's always tying it back into the actual stakes of the story in the ring that they're telling. He always brings it back in a way that makes it land for me. And like I said, I didn't have a lot of problems with where Roman was going, but some of it was actually off topic, even though it was a "ooh, gotcha" line.
Yeah. Got someone in the chat, Dr. Chindum, going, what was the tweet? Can someone in the chat fill me in? There's people who watch a show like this, and they are watching that promo, and they don't know, So
some people who even co-host a show like this don't even know.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I do not think being on social media, I'm on it sometimes, but very limited and very focused. It's just not, I don't want to look back and, decades from now and look back and go, that's how I spent my time. And I think a lot of people will regret it, but I'm not here to preach about that. But I'm obviously not a lone voice. And I think people know it's addicting and all that. And I'm guilty of being in the middle of a conversation and looking at my phone. I'm like, what a jerk. Put your phone down. Look at the person you're talking to. I mean, I'm not claiming I'm pure or anything, but my point is there's a lot of people who are not, being on social media should not be required viewing for you to understand what's going on a TV show. And it's
one of them should have explained it.
Exactly.
One of them should have said oh, you guys might not know, but he tweeted that I look, or something like that. That would have been fine.
Roman could say, my fans who are nodding along to what I'm saying have lives, so they're not on social media all the time. So for those of you who didn't know what Punk said, he said this, or have Punk say that. Either guy can say it. Obviously, in this case, it'd probably be more Punk unless Roman wanted to say it. It was, Phil showing he was thin skinned. But either way, you don't even have to turn into big. Just go, as you said on social media. Well, actually, in this case, I actually don't think you want to say what they said. I think you're actually. I mean, I'm sitting here advocating for don't leave people out of it. I think you're better off not not saying it, having people wonder. Because, I mean, not to look more tired, the Crowd or a champion?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. The standard deviations take. I like this. I feel like this promo. Sorry. I feel like this promo nudged the casual fan to like Roman the same and Punk less. That is one opinion. But I know that there was a comment from somebody else going, no, Punk schooled him. So anyway, there's definitely back and forth opinions here. Let me get to a super chat here from Derek Mitchell. Thank you, Derek. Generous super chat. Appreciate it. Everyone's welcome to do that. He says, I didn't like the line burying him next to his dad, similar to Randy mentioning Eddie during his feud with Ray after Eddie's death. Paige mentioning Charlotte's brother Reed, who recently passed at the time during a promo. Yeah, I mean, when you talk about liking somebody less, it's about a championship. Roman is saying, you're a liar, which is, that's a pretty strong word, but it's about how cheerful you are behind the scenes, how affable or, chill you are. And I don't know. I mean, it feels, as Derek's pointing out, like it went too far. I don't know when it doesn't feel too far to bring that stuff up. Derek's case is, I don't like the line burying his dad. I think he doesn't like it because he doesn't like it at all, ever. You can clarify, Derek, if you want. But certainly if you're going to do that, Joshua, should it be retorting something a little harsher?
Yeah, it did seem like he really overreacted there with that line. I mean, when he said, I'm going to bury you, I assume he meant metaphorically, but then he said next to your dad. Yeah. So, I mean, no one thinks he's actually going to murder Roman Reigns. So it was a little jarring.
Yeah. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, it was like fighting fire with a nuclear bomb. It's like unnecessarily far. It was definitely uncalled for.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be like, oh, yeah, I like Punk now. He's giving it to Roman's dead dad. I mean, that's not anybody's reaction.
Yeah.
Except for Christian Cage, it's like, yep, tell him.
Yes. Mr. Freshman 92 says the crowd didn't know how to react to that line by Punk. Crowd response counts for something. Intentional rounding goes, yes, Wade, I brought up Punk's doth protesting too much in a mailbag question a couple of weeks ago. Tonight just reinforced to me that he's going heel. How do you feel about that, Joshua? First, did you see anything here that would make you think, no, this isn't just trying to get intense and sell people on these two really hate each other and maybe a quote real fight will break out, which is also super silly. Like, I don't go to an action movie hoping, hey, I hope all the actors hate each other and start really shooting each other or whatever. It's like, just let us enjoy the genre and the context with the rules of engagement and the structure that we love. You don't have to amp it up by going, well, now these people are really using real guns. That said, what do you think, Joshua?
Well, I think like we just said, that line is like a step too far. But if they're leaning Punk heel and turning him in the near future, then yeah, just little hints like that of him getting a little too worked up and going a little bit too far. Those are good breadcrumbs if that's where they're going. Otherwise, it did just serve to make your lead babyface seem slightly less likable, which is counterproductive.
Yeah.
I don't think Punk is turning heel. I think Punk is a real life heel, and to some degree, that's what we love about him. I mean, that edge that he has.
Or it's why some people love him and some people don't. He is genuinely polarizing. I think Punk is puzzled at why he's polarizing because I think he thinks he's right and there's nothing wrong with his delivery. But he knows intellectually he has to act like it's normal to be, to feel put off by him. But I don't believe he genuinely understands why people are sometimes put off by him. I don't know. I'm in the psychoanalysis mode of him, but there's a big public history there. And now they're playing into it in the storyline, so it's fair game. Yeah. Mr. Freshman says, go ahead, Paul.
I wouldn't want him as a neighbor. Wait, that's all I
Yes. Oh, God.
I assume his opinion of himself is that people just don't like me because I speak my mind. He's one of those kind of guys.
Totally. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Mr. Freshman says it was out of nowhere, which is what lost me. Let's see. Standard Deviation says Punk gonna stomp on Roman's balls to prevent any new members of the bloodline popping out. Okay, that's a Hangman Page takeoff. I like that. Okay, Sadler version 3 goes, to be fair, Roman severely patronized him, basically claimed WWE is using him like a circus monkey in his last hurrah for money, and then will kick him to the curb when he's used up. I didn't the idea of Punk, there's that, but the idea of Punk going to train NXT guys and Roman's like, I'll just be here to kick their ass. Like, maybe, I mean, Roman, you've talked about retiring. I don't know if you're going to be around long enough to kick the ass of Punk's students. So I don't know. But Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Roman's going to show up twice every year to beat some NXT guy. It seems unlikely. And also, for that to be a very good insult, you have to know that Punk has expressed behind the scenes a desire to go down to NXT and help work with young people, which is not canon. It's like the super fans know that, and maybe that's why that's a good insult. But yeah, I didn't actually care for that portion of the thing. It seemed unnecessary and not adding anything. And then him telling them that they brought Punk in just to make money and they'll kick him to the curb. That is the entire roster, Roman. That's you too, buddy.
Is that? Roman, why do you think you're on TV? I think you can make the argument that Roman's like, I mean, the context is you're making fun of me for being part-time, but you want to be careful how far you go on this, because there is an element of like, it could actually genuinely cause Punk some sleepless nights. But he's like, Roman could say, Punk, why at 47 are you working a full schedule? And at 40, I have the leverage to say, I'm going to spend some more time at home. Don't your Blackhawks need you right now? And you're missing all their game. I don't know. But you're getting into meta in terms of the schedule and those perks. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a set rules for why some in canon, why some people are more part-time than others, and I don't think there's set rules for what you should and shouldn't bring up, but I just think everything should be evaluated. Is it too narrow of an audience? And are we trying to make people think something's real when no one's going to think it? I mean, very few people are going to actually think it's real. They're just going to feel maybe a little put off and insulted that you want us to believe it's real when it is just about selling tickets. This is not, so Sean Plichta, we're almost going to calls. Says, I thought the first promo between them was better than this one. Punk was lying about certain things for sure. Hard to trust a face when they do that kind of stuff. For their last promo versus this one, Joshua, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think I said this earlier, but I thought the first one was like electric and kind of like off the charts. Like you were kind of not excited for the main event, and like literally one promo moment, like, oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see this now. And this like didn't drag it down by any means. This was still good and entertaining, but I don't think it did anything to like up my excitement for the match.
Paul, what'd you think? Same topic.
Yeah, this one actually, this one really hit the right notes for me. I enjoyed this one just as much. I think even they get a little confused about the story, and I want to run this by you. Both of them have referenced how Punk took Heyman away from Roman Reigns. I didn't think that was the story at all. They shared him for like a month, and then it was Seth Rollins who actually stole him away. But both of them keep bringing that up as a hook in their rivalry.
Joshua?
Yeah, that is a bit strange. Like, technically, Punk stole him for one match, so for like 20 minutes. And apparently, Roman is still very upset about this, and Punk is very excited that he took him for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a dig, I guess. But yeah, in reality, there's no reason for them to mention Heyman in there. It has nothing to do with their current feud.
You can mention if you're trying to get under their skin if it's canon that one of them is really upset with the other over how that went. I just don't know if that's been a preoccupation or a central driving force motivating Roman or Punk. What the Heyman aspect of it.
Right, and they should both be upset because he turned on both of them during that match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a very small like good riddance. Good riddance. Like you took him from you stole him from me. Well, it didn't last long, did it? I mean, there are comebacks. Lil Cuz 101580, welcome, says, I was waiting on CM Punk to call him Joe. It never happened, though. I don't know what to think about that. So, yeah, others were kind of waiting for that moment. Derek Mitchell says, Roman can hate him without insulting him behind the scenes. Very similar to what's going on with Jade Cargill saying Rhea Ripley complains to writers backstage. You say something like that, and then, Rhea fans are like, oh, is that why the WWE hasn't gotten behind her? Because, she's difficult to work with, and, she doesn't respect kind of the, her place in terms of, the leverage that she has with how long she's been on top. And it's like, do you really want people thinking about that? I don't like when I listen to music, I don't know that I want the rival band saying all these bad things about the musicians I enjoy. I mean, you can be a hardcore fan, and and I know Blur and Oasis made millions off of that. But if you want to be a a fan of music, I don't know that I want to go somewhere where they're, my favorite bands are going to tear each other apart. You find that out with sports writers or radio hosts too. Like two sports radio hosts, and then you find out they can't stand each other, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I've got to take sides now. So there's a little bit of that going on. And I think there's some lived experience that people have with this kind of thing. Okay. I could go on because the chat's been great and there's some new voices in there tonight. But let's go to Ian first. He was first up, and we've got Rude Dog holding. Rude Dog, you fine holding on? Give me a thumbs up. Yep, he said yes. Good. All right. If someone's got limited time and the other person doesn't care, I'll switch order. Ian, welcome. We got 4 screen.
Wow, I didn't think we could do this, Wade.
I had to call CNN and get their permission.
Oh, okay. I got you.
They always have like 18 people on the panel. What's in your mind, Ian? What do you think? What do you want to talk about?
I cried watching Penta win, Wade. It was a religious experience. I told you it was going to happen.
Did you? One thing, I think Jason Paul mentioned this in his report. Did it seem like it was more about the Judgment Day than Penta? And does that take something away from it? It feels you're getting a title not because it's about you, but because you need to forward a different storyline involving the loser. Or you don't care because Penta's champ. Yay.
I mean, I didn't really care. It could have been Finn costume or anything, but it did feel more like Judgment Day storyline continuing. I mean, they also could have done it for shock value because I think a lot of people expected the Dom Balor match to be for the belt. And now that Penta won, you can do something different with that.
Yeah, right. Josh, what do you think of the match, which I had to speed through, so I'm not going to comment on the quality of the match. But also the decision to go with Penta and how it happened and how, they gave Penta a cool vignette earlier in the show. They stuck with him for his celebration. It's not like they just cut away and, just focused on only Judgment Day.
Right. Yeah. Like you noted, it did seem like that was about the Judgment Day more than anything, but like Monday Night Raw, all things are about the Judgment Day. That's just kind of how it runs. So for this, yeah, Dom and Finn and JD were kind of the focal points, but like you said, at the end, they still focused on Penta holding the title in the ring, holding the title up, and that was like the lasting image from that. And then next week, he'll be Intercontinental Champion still, so that'll be good for him, and that's great because like I love Penta, and to be fair, he's been a big star. He's get good pops. He has good matches. He has an awesome entrance, but like they haven't actually done much of consequence with him since his arrival, and I think this is a good step. This is possible. Hopefully, he can hold on till WrestleMania and get himself a big match on Mania too. If it's a triple threat with Dom and Finn or whatever, that'll be really exciting. As far as the actual match goes, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Penta's great in the ring. That's a known fact. But I thought Dom has really been stepping it up. I guess his time in AAA is paying off. But he did really well throughout the match. Although it's hard to say how good it was because during an 18-minute match there was like 16 minutes of commercials. But what I saw was quite good, and I enjoyed it.
Paul, what'd you think?
Yeah, I'm not as high on the match as you. I thought it was just okay. I agree Penta is great. I just think Dom is not that great. He's not very athletic. He's not very hard-hitting. What makes Dom matches fun are the hijinks, right? Like when he went against Cena and all the tricks he pulls. That's what tends to make his matches fun, and this match wasn't about that. But Penta did beat him, fair and square. Penta got his moment. I agree. He totally deserves it.
Yeah. I don't think Penta's had a bad match in WWE minus his injury, but I'm happy they're doing something with him. He's been there over a year now, and this is his first title win, which is kind of crazy to think about. Considering what he's done. I wrote in my notes just for Wade, I said Penta did it all caps with like 17 exclamation points. And you could ask my wife, I cheered pretty loud, and I might have woke her up. But she'll be all right.
I'm fine doing all caps when you're excited. I just don't think the spelling of your name stylistically should always be excited.
The opening though, I thought, minus the Roman Punk segment, I thought that was one of the best segments of the show. I love having the different masks and, Paul Heyman carrying that segment on his back, minus getting his head smashed in with a broken nose and a ambulance storyline. Do you think it? Yeah, there you go, Wade. Penta won.
I put it up. Yeah, had to find it.
Do you think it leads to possibly? I know we talked about a few weeks ago of Seth having a faction, or is this just Seth just being the smartest wrestler, according to Michael Cole.
I was wondering the same thing. Like, is this parade of mask guys implying he's going to have this group of underlings and proteges, or is this more just create? Like, I mean, it might as well have been Hornswoggle just running around under the ring and all over the place. It's all, it was, hey, here I am, chase me. I mean, I can get, like, if my dog's ever running away from me, like if he gets off his leash, all I have to do is run the opposite direction of him, and he'll just follow me, like, no matter what. It's like, oh, you're running away? I'm going to get you then. But if I chase him, he'll run away. That's kind of what this was. The guys in the black masks and outfits are like, you can't get me. And then they run to the crowd. And then Logan's like, oh, yeah? It's very, very simple-minded technique to get them to leave Paul Heyman alone in the ring. My hunch is it's more that than him having a faction. But the question ran through my mind too, Ian. Paul, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. They seem so faceless, that their identity didn't seem like it mattered at all. So I think this is just Seth Rollins playing tricks. It is odd that he's not acting like much of a face. A lot of the fans wanted to celebrate with him, and he just moved right on by. So I guess he's a face de facto since he. Is up against the Vision, but interesting to see Paul Heyman take some. I don't know if a bump is the right word, but
I'll call it a bump.
I'd call that a bump,
yeah,
for sure.
I get, I mean, it wasn't a polished, standard bump, but yeah, he took a bump.
Well, you don't see that too often.
No,
so he's committed.
No,
and there's a reason we don't see it too often. I mean, one, he has a clout not to take a bunch of bumps, which is good for him. But two, it's not his specialty. Like, you know what you're good at and lean into it. But I think there's also, on a serious note, the feeling of if you take a bunch of bumps, people just go, oh, you just get beat up a lot, which is fine. Bobby Heenan, especially in his AWA days, I mean, nobody took better like bumps that walked the line to comedy, but not. It got such a good reaction when Greg Gagne would beat him, whoever it was, who would get him. And Heenan was amazing as a manager taking bumps. No, I don't think anyone will ever beat him at that. In his WWF years, he had to tone that down. He was, older and physically beat up. And in WCW, he had the neck issue after surgery. So, but look up some Bobby Heenan bumps if there's limited footage out there, but it's amazing. That's not Heyman's strength, and he knows that. But if you do it every once in a while, it counts. If he goes through a table, oh boy, and then he stays off TV for a while. If you take this kind of bump and you get stomped, be bloodied and in an ambulance, and your guy is left alone later. Like, that's the kind of thing. So it's I say sometimes I rate matches higher when I believe there's an economy of moves. They let everything breathe and make everything count, as opposed to just throw tons of stuff at me and nothing has a chance to breathe or really matter. Heyman with bumps makes them memorable and matter because you can count them in the last 10 years. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. That's what makes him taking a stomp so memorable. Is that, has he ever taken a stomp? Probably not. And the last Heyman bump I could think of was when they put him through a table when he didn't like the new bloodline. That was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. That's a while back. Yeah, so that's what's going to make this memorable.
And it had been a long time before. I don't know when.
Before that, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
And then they didn't undersell. He didn't just get up and go on about his day. He was in an ambulance and bleeding. So the rarity makes it important, and then they also sold it like it's a big deal thing that happened. So
we have two co-hosts with two cats on the screen right now for people who are listening. Paul's cat is on his back of his shoulder, and Joshua's cat's on the couch, acting like he's not into this, but we know the cat is. He is. Ian, do you have a cat somewhere?
Mine is snugling with my wife right now.
Okay. Well,
I mean, to go off Josh, when I think the last one was a Superman punch by Roman Reigns. That sounds right. I could be very wrong.
It's if that's true, and I think I have a memory of that. Paul's better at taking a stomp. I think I have a vision in my head of that Superman punch, and yeah, a stomp is an easier bump to take.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree that less is more. I'm still waiting for Stephanie McMahon to get her comeuppance for her decade as a heel, where she never sold for anybody.
No.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anyway, Ian, what else?
I mean, last thing, and I was talking with someone in the chat about it. Could this lead, since shifts have changed, for a Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, of Brock coming back saying, hey, you attacked Paul. You're going to accept my open challenge at Mania since, the injuries of Braun Breaker, or this could lead to Braun Breaker's return or what have you.
Seems to me that this lines him up better with Logan, since he screwed Logan out of the chamber. The Brock stuff does seem a little bit separate from the Vision, so he seems more likely to take on an Oba Femi or something like that.
But you also have now Logan in theory feuding with the Usos.
Yeah, I was thinking we're headed. I mean, either WrestleMania or before that.
Yeah.
Obviously,
good point.
Jimmy and Austin going at it, and then, Adam Pearce is accusing Heyman, much to his protest, that they were involved in the attack on Jay, and the Usos are together. So, I mean, that seems like a good use of them for WrestleMania. I think Logan in theory against the Usos, when you don't have Bronson Reed, don't have Braun Breaker, and you're trying to figure out, what is kind of turnkey, that, we've got a backstory for it. That works for me. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I didn't even think about Seth versus Brock. It just seems so obvious they were setting up to take on somebody from the Vision. But the Vision is, at this point, Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And either one of those is an intriguing one-on-one match. I mean, he fought Logan Paul a couple years ago, and Austin Theory is apparently just going to be Austin Theory for his whole career. So as far as I can tell, Seth and Brock, not that we haven't seen shades of that for 10 years or so, but that's probably the most interesting thing for Seth, unless Breaker makes a miracle recovery or something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know what they got for Seth. And they did bring him back, and they didn't have to. So I would assume he's got something decent lined up for WrestleMania.
I would think giving Heyman a stomp is a way to get Heyman to go, now you've done it. I'm calling the Beast. I'm calling Brock. And this does seem like that can lead there. So whatever, if they were thinking Brock Oba, and I don't know, with what happened with Rusev and Oba, I don't know if they're playing Rusev Oba or that Rusev
they said that they said that for next week.
Yeah, I mean, but we might. It's sort of like it doesn't rule it out if they just turn it into a full-fledged feud. But it does seem like Rusev is more of just the bridge to get somewhere else. Yeah. So I don't know, but I don't know who Seth faces otherwise. I mean, Seth just.
Or I don't know who Gunther faces either. That was my next point.
Oba.
Well, there you go.
I mean, if we're just.
I mean, hey.
What, Joshua?
He retires Oba Femi. That makes sense.
Oh my God! Wow.
I saw online Rey Mysterio, but I think Rey's still hurt. Since he took the mask off Dragon Lee, it could lead to that story.
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't know if they're hoping for it still, or they know one way or the other. But yeah, that's I think something that they'd like to have as an option. It makes storyline sense to go there. I don't know what else does. Are you? By the way, Paula, do you like Seth Lesnar as a WrestleMania match? Does that?
Yeah,
work?
I have to admit, you guys have sold me on it. Sounds like it sounds good to me now. Yeah.
I just think for ticket sales being as low as they are, and they're probably twisting a lot of stories for that.
Yep. Sadler Vision 3 says Gunther kills Dragon next week, then Ray comes back for the feud. Sean Plish says Gunther took way too much offense from Dragon Lee tonight, and I'm a fan. Real Legend says, Gunther Ray at Mania. Goodfellas says, let Rusev take the Sheamus spots. I'm missing those, but I enjoy Dragon Lee versus Gunther. As far as the Usos against Logan and Theory, Derek Mitchell says it's enough of a marquee tag match compared to any other tag match on Raw. Real Legend says, I think Rusev Oba is just a TV feud. But Sean Plish says Brock and Oba would be cool. No Seth and Brock for me, he says. Let's see. Yeah, and Derek's just predicting Logan and Theory against the Usos. And a good fella brings up the rumor of LA Knight Brock. He says, I don't feel good about that. We see Seth against Brock, Open Mania. Gunther versus Brock and Oba is my choice, but I'm open to ideas. LA Knight against Lesnar doesn't feel right.
No.
Yeah. But I don't know where LA Knight fits in then.
Maybe Mania 5-man.
For
Drew's belt, Cody's belt, whoever's belt is going to have it.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a gauntlet match for whoever has the WWE title by the time we get there with Jacob and Knight and
Sammy and
Sammy, Cody.
We'll throw you in there too, Wade. We'll make it a 7-man.
No thanks. Derek Mitchell says Paul Heyman takes a stomp better than Linda McMahon takes a stunner.
Faint praise indeed.
Yeah. I mean, taking a stomp isn't nothing. I mean, it takes something, and he did a good job. When I say he did a good job, he got stomped while his head hit the mat really hard. I don't know. Maybe he got concussed, and we're being too
I
flippant
thought the
about
blood
it.
was an added cool bonus on that, too. I was like, oh, wow.
Yep. Yes. All right. Ian, what else?
Quick thing before I hop off. Wade, I did email you. Raw is
yes.
coming to my town, Knoxville.
Yep.
So if you need me to do the correspondent, I got you.
Bring it on. Let's do it.
All right. I got you, man. All right.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys.
Great. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Bye, Ian.
All right. Let's. We got a super chat. Nima Pazar says, Wade, do you think WrestleMania will still take place in Riyadh next year, Saudi Arabia? I miss the days when Trump was just a goofy reality star shaving Vince's head on TV instead of kickstarting a war with Iran. There you go, bringing politics into the Wade Keller podcast. No, WWE does it. They're taking the money from a controversial, volatile region. And I don't know. I mean, it's too early. I mean, they're not going to cancel it yet, but the precedent is there. New Orleans will tell you about it. So Saudi might be saying, yeah, Vegas year 3, $10 general admission for everybody. I don't know. Fill the building. I don't know. I mean, it's super early, and it's scary what the ramifications are of this administration. Just a bunch of people are always. I'm going to be political for 10 seconds. People are always worried about who the president is and whether I like her laugh or whether I like his hair or he's taller. It's like you're not just hiring a president. You're hiring all the people in their administration. And Trump has the worst people you could possibly imagine in charge of all these divisions, including Linda McMahon, by the way, although she's like the best of the worst, who are high profile. But I mean, the buffoonery and the incompetence and the corruption and the hypocrisy is just terrible. And it could affect wrestling fans. I mean, that's hardly more important than everything else going on. But I mean, yeah, this could last a while and it could destabilize the world. That's why, you shouldn't vote for people who don't know the first thing about history and are just whatever. Okay, I'm done with that. Joshua, do you think that what's going on will affect WrestleMania, or are you with me? It's just too early to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. And the only way that WWE would let it affect WrestleMania is not if there's like a major war in the area. It's whether or not it would affect ticket sales. I think that's all that matters. If they think they can make money going to Saudi Arabia, they will. I'm
having more trouble hearing you now, Joshua, than I was even earlier. I don't know if there's a volume level or whatever. Paul, do you agree with me? Joshua, a little softer? Okay. It's not just my headset. Paul, I know it's sort of such a hypothetical at this point. Not hypothetical. It's real, but it's just too early to tell. But I think if wrestlers were concerned about their safety or the government just said, yeah, we can't, camera crews don't want to, whatever. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that could affect that. But I think we're 8 months away from that being something I have to even think about.
Yeah. I'm not someone who prays often, but I'm going to say a prayer that the war does not widen to engulf Saudi Arabia as well.
Yeah,
let us hope.
But that whole region is, I think, getting destabilized, and a lot of the House of Cards keeping people from bombing and killing each other. There's a reason. I mean, there's a reason diplomacy. Let's monitor Iran's nuclear program, which Obama set up and Biden was fine. It's just like, there's a reason we don't just bomb these people like this. And even MAGA people are just rolling, shaking their heads at this, and just regular conservatives, not just MAGA people, are just like, you seriously? You just, the explanation changes every 3 hours why they did it too. And the latest one is not impressive. All right, let's bring Rude Dog into the conversation. Rude Dog, welcome. Good to see you. Ooh, you are on a what do we call it? Not widescreen, not landscape. What do we call the tall thing? It's up and down. There's a word for it. I sound like
most people say vertical, but
yeah, I feel like there's another word for it. Anyway, he's on vertical. We got black bars, 4 people. I can barely see a Rude Dog. I'm not complaining. I am complaining. I can't see your t-shirt barely. But good to have you on the show.
Well, this is what I'm usually. There we go.
It's Muda.
There's the great Muda for you.
I had to zoom in.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. Respect.
Sorry, but all right. So you were talking about Seth and where he's headed, but one thing I want to know, do you think
Portrait.
he's going to come out?
Hold on. portrait mode, you people. That's the word I was looking for. Everyone in the chat shouting portrait at us. Portrait at us. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, this is what I usually come in at, because it's usually 3 people, but I could change it if it's gonna annoy you that much.
No, I'm not. I'm not annoyed. I'm needling the fact of how ridiculous the screen looks, and it's your fault. But I'm not complaining.
All right, whatever. I'm glad I called
it definitely doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Right. So is Seth gonna come out still wearing outlandish costumes to his? I'm sure he's keeping the same theme song, but like, I mean, this is the perfect time for a character change. But do you think that's gonna happen? Is he gonna have his masked men with him? Is he gonna be an all black Shield-esque, or is he just gonna be cackling all, to the stage?
Joshua, go first.
Yeah, I vote he enters through the crowd with 4 other masked men, and they all get in the middle of the ring, and then you try to guess which one's him, and then he takes off and goes, and then people sing his song, and then he cuts an annoying promo and wrestles an amazing match, is how I think they should go down. But Rude Dog is right. This would be a great opportunity for him to reinvent himself as finally a face character that people are behind, and the song fits. It's finally a good time for him to unveil a new version of him that people can actually get behind.
Paul.
Yeah, the old version of Seth Rollins when he was first face, before he started wearing all the crazy clothing like his wife was, and before he had the confidence to unleash that awful laugh, is still my favorite version of Seth Rollins. So Road Dogg, I hope that you're right and this constitutes a change, but I don't think he can. I don't think he can control himself.
Yeah.
The chat has opinions. Dr. Chindum says, Chinidum says, I have a feeling Seth will act exactly the same and rely on the crowd singing to claim he's now a huge face. Let's see. Real Legend says, I think Seth's going to still be heel, trying to get revenge on other heels. There is that. Swole predicting maybe a Shield outfit for Seth. Sean Plichta says, a new serious version of Seth. Controller Flex says Seth's going to come out like Jesus Christ Superstars. Dr. Chinadum says, I have a feeling Seth will act exactly the same and rely on the crowd singing to claim he's now a huge face. Goodfella says, change his character, not his clothes. There you go. Goodfella says, I like his obnoxious outfits. LOL. So on a serious note, I think it is going to be hard to take a match for WrestleMania, Seth Rollins against Brock Lesnar, if they go there, or whatever, or even Seth's new character in general. I think it's less effective if Seth looks like he's like spending part of his week trying to pick out an Elton John closet outfit. Like, I don't think that is particularly a serious person who's a babyface, who's out for revenge against Paul Heyman, and he's still being outlandish and coming out to the music and ha-haing. I think this is a chance to, like, it's almost like the Demon Balor. Like, maybe there's a time you come out with it because your opponent is one you don't take seriously. You want to, mess with his head or whatever. But Brock Lesnar, like, I don't know. Is there a way to turn that into a positive, do you think, Paul? Like the outlandish outfits, if Seth keeps them? Like, I'm going to get under his skin by being, like Goldust was scaring Razor Ramon by coming onto him. Like, is it going to like take Brock off his game if he comes out in a boa, a Jesse Ventura boa or something?
I don't want to see him try. I do like I really love the idea that Rude Dogg has of him, taking a more serious tone for a time. But perhaps it's too much to hope for.
Yeah. Joshua.
Yeah, I have unfortunately low hopes on that. I assume he'll be the exact same character he was before the Vision booted him, which is, hopefully he at least gets a new nickname, because the Visionary is going to sound really weird as a guy going against the Vision. So sure he can get like a new, not revolutionary or visionary name. I'm sure he can come.
That's why I thought they should change their name when he wasn't with them anymore. Like the Visionary, it shouldn't be the Vision anymore if you don't have the Visionary part of it. It's like if Judgment Day was called like, Edge of I don't know, edge of something. You know, like I'm trying on the fly coming out. You know, like, and it's like, well, no, Edge isn't there. So like, you got to change your name.
Yeah, it's kind of like Roman Reigns being called the original tribal chief when he has no tribe that he is the chief of.
Yes, he's also original tribal chief 1, implying there might be a second, also original tribal chief somewhere.
You're talking my language, Josh, with semantics. I love it. Not inaccurate. By the way, Real Legend wants to emphasize when he said, I think Seth is going to still be a heel trying to get revenge on other heels. He said, I am serious with my opinion. Wade, I was being serious with my opinion. So, and Sean Plishta says, yeah, hopefully we get that.
Yeah.
So there we are. Swole says he's just going to go back to I'm freaking Seth Rollins. Steve Austin told me once on a podcast, what is freaking Seth Rollins? Like, what is it? What is it? I don't know. It's just a thing. It's just a word. All right. Rude Dog.
Yeah, I remember listening to that podcast. So yeah, but this is also the second time Seth Rollins has been turned babyface by getting kicked out of a faction. So there's also that too, because he got kicked out of the Authority, and then he was supposed to be a babyface. I mean, this was a little different, but it's still kind of lame. And at least he got his revenge so far. But anyways, enough about him.
Yeah.
But so AJ Lee cut a promo today. It wasn't so cringe, but it was better than her last one, that's for sure. But it was just like, oh boy, she's going to carry this belt to WrestleMania. I hope they don't have more of her in ring, like cutting these promos like every week. And then it's like, who's she going to face? And then there's this line of people. And then out of the people, I was like, huh. Like, they're definitely going to need someone that can carry the match, I think, because I think Becky carried the elimination match like pretty good. I mean, AJ wasn't bad, but she was rusty. So, what do you think about AJ basically making this open challenge and Becky's out of the picture? And who do you think should face her at WrestleMania?
When I was watching AJ Lee tonight, I was like, who's she reminding me of? And it was Willow Nightingale at her worst. I felt there was a similarity with where Willow's kind of has a full of herself with a smile vibe. That I think is sort of a little bit unbecoming for a babyface at times. And Willow's kind of, it comes and goes, but it's stacked on top of AJ, going, Becky, I've been gone for all these years and I've still had more accomplishments than you. Like the delusion of a babyface thinking they've done more than Becky. It's like, you got to pick your spots and you should have you shouldn't look like you're just completely out of touch with your, yes, you were part of a change and a shift in how things were framed, but that was a small slice compared to what Becky's contributed. And so there's a little bit of baggage coming into this, but there was something about the way her delivery and her body language that, I don't know, I don't think it's like earning new fans. I don't know. But I also know just some promo styles work better with others. So, I mean, I'm certainly open to if the crowd, eats it up, then great, it works. But I was kind of with Rude Dog on this. Paul, I see nodding. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. She can be a little too precious and a little too full of herself, but she doesn't lack for confidence. And I thought I was actually impressed by the match with Becky Lee. Did Becky carry her to a large degree? I'm sure, but Becky can't carry just anybody. I mean, I think at one point AJ Lee said in her promo, "I didn't know if I could still go," and I think she can still go. So I'm not against her having the title. Out of the group of contenders, of course, the one that stands out as WrestleMania worthy is Io Sky. Unless she gets killed by Jade Cargill as a way to advance the feud with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, Joshua, so what do you think of AJ Lee's promo, and what do you think of the contenders, and where does that leave Becky?
Yeah, I thought AJ's promo was at least less self-congratulatory as the one leading up to the Becky match. She didn't take credit for the entire evolution of women's wrestling this week, which I thought was nice. And she showed that maybe she wasn't 100% sure of herself. And although Paul is right, she did hold her own in that match because Becky can't carry anybody to a great match. I saw Becky take on Nikki Bella a couple months ago, and that is just pure proof that Becky can't work miracles. But if she has someone decent and athletic like AJ Lee, they can pull off what was, I thought, a pretty good match at Elimination Chamber. So that was good. And I think AJ will need somebody decent to work. I'm concerned we're heading towards yet another multi-person match just with the lineup of people that marched into that. Pierce's.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, at least if that gets Bailey on WrestleMania, that'll be good for CJ wherever he's at. So there's an upside to that.
Yeah, the Bailey Lyra segment I thought was good. Bailey throwing her name in there and Lyra giving her a pep talk. I mean, you want to make it seem like a lot of people want the championships. The problem is like what is the reason that some people go for one championship over another? And I guess if you go, well, I guess as of this week it makes sense with the other two titles being decided by the Rumble and Elimination Chamber. So now, it's just what brand you're on in the secondary belt. So I guess there's sort of a consolation prize aspect to it that is sort of baked in, but that's fine. I mean, if you're going to have two titles on each show, you should have people going after the secondary title only after it's been decided that you won't be in for the world title level belt. But yeah, the story of AJ Lee being, I didn't know if I could go anymore, doesn't match the bravado of her presentation. So there's a little bit of a mixed message there. But I think that besides some of the delivery cadence and facial expressions that, like I said, I think it was a little bit plays into the delusionary content of the buildup to the match last week. There was words of humility, that I think were good, and there was an appreciation of the fans supporting her and empowering her, and I like that storyline beat or that character beat for a babyface, especially in her position. Was this where the fans couldn't decide between you deserve it and you still got it, and we got this like complicated like battle to see which one? It was like 50-50, 60-40. Oh, I think they're going to go with this one. No, then all of a sudden the other one took over. It was awkward.
They both applied equally.
Well, I think that's why it took the crowd so long to kind of come to one. Sadler Version 3 says AJ was the best of a bad bunch in her prime, but her leaving made her a much bigger star, especially being attached to Punk. She definitely bought into that hype. I like her more than you guys, though. So I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, he likes her. He's not saying it to be mean. Sometimes facts just aren't flattering, but it doesn't mean you just like the person. But yeah, she was the best of a bad bunch at her prime. I think is a fair framing of a fan who kind of has a handle on it. Sean Plishus says, I like her, but heel just works better. I do think she's better as a heel, but she's undersized. But it doesn't have to be a rule. It doesn't have to be a rule, but like you limit your options if you're a heel and you're just half the size of, or you're looking up a foot higher. It's a little bit tougher to tell that story.
She has a little bit of a Wednesday Addams vibe to her, and that goes well with a baby face. I think I did notice her shirt for the first time. It said "Lucky for you, therapy works," which I thought was clever.
Yeah, I'm not anti-therapy, but there's just sort of like the person who discovers something and then they just can't wait to tell everybody about, like, I don't know. There's something about her, and especially when she first came back, and it was like, we just want to watch a wrestling show. We're not looking for life advice. And her book was, like that too. So, just like she presents herself as if there's something very profound that she's saying about therapy, and it feels a little kind of trite. Like, you're not the only one saying it, believe it or not. Like, a lot of people say, but they don't wear t-shirts about it. But like a lot of people believe in therapy and talk about it. You're not like quite as like an outlier as you think and advocating for it. Good cause, but I think the delivery can be a little overbearing or center of the universe a little bit. And like I said, last week's promo with AJ made me understand why AJ and Punk are together more than anything had ever before. I was like, okay, totally get it now. I get it. But I mean, there's so much good about them. I sound like I'm just like, hating on them. There's like so much good about what they believe in and all that, but there's a little bit of sandpaper to how they deliver their message sometimes. And it's a, business about presenting yourself on TV and wanting to get a reaction. Rude Dog, what have you got? What else?
All right. Fast 8 hours. Because if you blinked, what's that?
We lost your photo and your picture, and you're breaking up on us.
Okay. Well, I'll just
Well,
send you an email if you can't hear me.
We can hear you, but your picture went out. That's fine. Go ahead and talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to talk about Danhausen, for God's sakes.
Yeah, good.
He was barely in it. Like, you might have missed it if you were fast forwarding through stuff, but he had, like, that epic introduction at Elimination Chamber, and here he's right back to just being a goof, basically, in the R-Truth role, but instead of on SmackDown, now it's on Raw, and like he called Adam Pearce Steve Austin, and like one thing I did like is he mentioned his thunderous applause he got, which actually made me laugh because he did not get that. So I don't know. Was that worth all the effort they did at Elimination Chamber? I mean, they could have put another match on, and maybe like people that paid hundreds of dollars could have seen something. I don't know. What do you think?
I think all the build was probably setting people up to be disappointed because I think a lot of people didn't know who he was. Plus, his gimmick is best when he talks and interacts as he did backstage. I get a big kick out of Danhausen. I thought he was, for me, I really enjoyed him tonight. I thought his body language, his cadence, his word, like I think it's really smart. What he's doing, I think it comes across as like this goof, but I think there's a cleverness and a high IQ comedic aspect to what he's doing that I think can add to the show. And I think like JD McDonough going, I already don't like this guy. I thought this was the Danhausen that can work and be valuable for that comedy segment. It's definitely not going to be for everybody, and that should be a requirement for everything that's on a TV show. But I like his sense of humor, and I thought this was I was worried they weren't going to get him, and I thought tonight they got him, put him out there opposite of Dom and JD. I thought there were some good lines from him. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually kind of thought this, other than how badly the debut went, I thought this was like pretty much best case scenario for him. This is what he's best at, is backstage interactions with other people and being weird. And like you've heard people say to act stupid or goofy, you actually have to be like kind of smart to make that work. And I think he always does. I always get a kick out of him, but I was mostly concerned they're going to be like, all right, we got Danhausen, boom, put him in a match, give him a winning streak. And like, that's not why you should have hired Danhausen. And if this is how they're using him, I think they're probably overpaying him, and they definitely overhyped him. And the debut was definitely not uproariously cheered. But I think this use of him is probably exactly right. And I think if they continue to do this, this will be a small portion of what I look forward to on Monday nights. Like, I'll be like, oh, this is good.
I loved him saying, like, I have a list of Demandhausens, and he wants a blimp. I mean, I just popped for that. Like, that's just so ridiculous. And he wants like a Hall of Fame he wants to be in the Hall of Fame, and then he like says as an aside, like this year, by the way, it's not up for negotiation. It was I thought it was like hilarious. Like it makes the entrance on Saturday work more when he's acting like this delusional big deal. It's playing into the failure of that a little bit by making it sort of canon to his character, which is, and I know that it's needed or that it's going to help, but it at least ties together. Like he had this over the top entrance, and now it's gone to his head, and now he has this list of special demands. Wants a personal assistant, a personal camera boy. He says about Triple H. What did he say about Triple H? As an aside, under his breath.
I don't know. He was talking really fast. I couldn't get it all typed down.
Oh, he wants his face on all the trucks. I love that. You know that there's wrestlers who have put that in their contract. Cody. No, I'm kidding. I totally made that up. And then the soggy piece of paper, and Danhausen just dryly, Adam Pearce like, why is a sheet of paper soggy this time? Oh, I dropped it in the toilet. And he says it in such like he looked at Pearce like when Pearce dropped him, he's like, why would you drop it? It was just in a toilet. You couldn't fathom why somebody wouldn't want to hold a piece of paper that fell into a toilet. There's just a deadpan kind of zany. There's a deadpan zaniness to him that works for me. I was worried Triple H is going to ruin it because Triple H's sense of humor is like bottom 0.5% of 1%. I mean, it's not funny, and when he tries to be, it's like makes dad jokes like worse. He ruins dad jokes, and dad jokes are like fun, and he somehow ruins them. He and Shawn Michaels were just awful in DX during the embarrassing dad era. So keep Triple H, Paul Levesque away from Danhausen, but I thought this was like a good use of him. I love that he didn't know who JD McDonough was. Just again, like, who are you? And Jason's like, I already don't like this guy. And then cursing, I'm worried that it's going to be like, it's going to work. But I love the idea of getting inside someone's head. You are cursed. And then something bad happens. And now Dom's like, oh my God, am I cursed? Like, I was thinking Chelsea Green would be a good person to play off him. And I think they still could. Mm-hmm. But like Dom and JD, like, you know, the power of suggestion and, you know, you're cursed. And then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm endorsing this. Paul, I think you didn't come into this. Have I talked you into it at all?
Yeah, you know, I like it better when you explain it than when I watch Danhausen do it. But I don't watch. He was on AEW, right? Is where he's from.
And
is that right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't. I had no idea who he was, like most of the audience. So I just didn't know what I was looking at his big entrance at Elimination Chamber.
That has nothing to do with him before. Like at least not that I've seen. That was just a WWE Vegasizing, you know, WrestleMania entrance. It was not. That's the thing about Danhausen. I don't think I'm missing, Joshua, like a background with him where he comes out with Vegas dancers. If that's some reference to something, I think that was just WWE.
That's an existing part of his lore. I think that's something that's new and hopefully gone.
Exactly. Okay. I think they built it up so much, and they felt like, well, what can we do when we do the reveal? And they didn't have a good idea, so they went with a bad idea that felt like it would fill the stadium for 2 minutes. Because I don't have a better suggestion, because if it's going to be Danhausen and you build it up the way that they did, and then the speculation becomes, oh, it's Jericho. You know, WWE bought out his frozen contract, you know, whatever it is. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a little bit of a complicated character, like he's a vampire or something, and I think his sense of humor is going to take a little bit of getting used to. But I do think there's an open spot for an R-Truth type comedy character, and he seems better than anyone else I've seen.
Yep. Cool. Josh, anything else on Danhausen? How much? What do you like and not like about his gimmick in a WWE context now?
Yeah, no, I'm just surprised that they got it right. I thought they were going to strike the complete wrong tone, and so I think understated, ridiculous. And I kind of said from the beginning, like, if you're going to have a person come out of a giant box, it can't be somebody that you have to take seriously the next week. They believe they've been in a box for a month. But Danhausen is like the right type of character where, yeah, no, that tracks. That's right. He should be in a box for weeks at a time. I assume he went back in the box, and that's where he is now. Yeah, so far they're striking it right. There's plenty of time for them to saddle him with horrible, bad R-Truth from like 2012 kind of stuff. That could happen, but right now I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Hopeful.
All right, the Triple H thing that we didn't pick up. Eric Moy says the picture with Triple H where they point at each other. So that's wasn't able to pick up on what he said. But he was referring to a photo that they have together. So that's the reference point. By the way, I'm fine with a little thing you got to research in a Danhausen backstage segment more than I am with Punk and Roman trying to sell a WrestleMania main event. Yeah. So everyone in the chat's like all in on the standard deviation. The point, real legend. It's a pointing picture of Triple H. Eric Moy, the pointing picture of Triple H, standard deviation. Infamous Triple H photo. Sean Plister says, I didn't have any expectations. I'm just not a fan. Like Steph said, give people a reason for him to have a connection with the fans. R-Truth has a history with the fan base, so they've gotten attached. He comes off as, why is this guy here? Yes, I think Michael Cole knew who he was on Saturday. Oh, here, Danhausen just handed me something. He didn't go, who is this guy? So the audience is to believe this is a known guy, but I think the majority of people in that building, by a small margin, but the majority didn't know or barely knew. You know, like I just, you know, WWE doesn't think because it's true. Not everybody going to WWE shows watches AEW or goes to the indie scene or is on the internet learning about this guy. So that's why they got the crowd reaction they did. So I think there should be a little bit more of a formal introduction of who this guy is and why he's here, who brought him in, why is he here, and I don't think they did that tonight. But Sadler Version 3 says, Wade, you did a good job of selling him. Sean Plichta says, Wade tried hard, but I'm not sold. And Derek Mitchell says, I think people have crazy have crazy over Danhausen. He's fine. Shame on the folks that built up their expectations thinking it was Jericho. Goodfellas says JD saying he didn't like Danhausen. I like that. Good first match. 7 to 8 minutes. JD's a great worker, and we can see what Danhausen has. Real Legend says, my friend thinks Danhausen's going to be in a tag team with R-Truth, and I said the name Cursed Truth. All right. Heard it here first. And interesting. Sadler version 3 says, AW did the same thing when they introduced him, and I had no idea who he was. And I'm critical of AW for doing that. I'm just surprised when WWE does it. WWE's not big on assumed knowledge. And so when they go there, it seems a little jarring because it's like weird to put it this way, but WWE canon is canon. AEW canon is everything in the universe that ever happened in pro wrestling. So for WWE, it's actually a little more jarring when you see someone get introduced. Where in AEW, the assumption is, well, everyone in the crowd knows because we're the sickos, we're the hardcore fans, we're the ardent fans, we're on Twitter as much as Tony Khan. That's how they promote their product consistently. I'm critical of it, but at least they're consistent. Yeah. Let's see. Derek Mitchell says Danhausen is character driven, not Jack Briscoe or Funk Jr. People need to relax and stop having crazy, unrealistic expectations.
I think it'll take us a few weeks to kind of understand and get his sense of humor. Like the first time I saw The Office, I felt uncomfortable and like I was like, why do people like this? But after seeing it a couple times, I started to get it, and I wonder if he'll be like that.
That's what I'm feeling about the first episode of DTF St. Louis. I'm not quite sure what they're going for on. I don't know if you guys saw that yet, but I was like watching this going. I'm not sure the tone they're going for yet, but by the end, I'm like, I'm watching next week. But anyway, Dr. Chinadum says, my nephew is 7 and had no clue who the dude was coming out of the box, but I'm pretty sure we'll be buying merchandise for him this October. There you go. Yes. And Eric Moore goes, hey, I agree with Paul. It's Danhausen's first week. Yeah. Sean, people don't think Sean's ever gonna like him. Sean, please. I'm not surprised. I know Sean. I wouldn't think Sean would like Danhausen. It's not a shot at Sean. It's just like when I say like I don't think kind of the deadpan zany isn't for everybody, and I think people look for different things. But maybe Sean said I'm open-minded, so maybe Danhausen will win him over. Maybe he'll be buying merchandise in October for him. Maybe Sean will come on the show with a Danhausen T-shirt. We'll see. All right, let's see. Other things on the show. Somebody mentioned Austin Theory seemed like he's coming into his own as a believable heel character demeanor-wise. Joshua, what'd you think tonight? I thought this was in the opening segment in the ring, and I thought the last TV appearance from him was good too. Am I just thinking of Saturday? I think he's believable now as a guy with kind of an edge, a hard edge to him, where in the first weeks it felt a little like he was pretending or putting on a veneer of like I'm a goofy guy who's being told if I want to draw money I better be serious. And now I kind of buy that he's like he's kind of come around to actually be this guy. And I think he was a little crisper in the ring now too. I mean, it's hard to get reps, and his timing wasn't great early on, and that worked against him. But in the past, he's had better timing. He's not Will Ospreay. Like he never is. That's never been his. But he's more than Sean Spears, in the ring in the past. But he was more Sean Spears-esque than he was, old Austin Theory in his early appearances. I thought he's starting to look better. So I don't know. I thought this was a good week for him. If you're down to 2 guys who can work, you want to have Theory on maybe showing improvement and not being a bust. I don't think people would look at the last week or two of Theory and stick with it's a total bust and a waste of time. I think he's maybe winning people over, and there's going to be pushback. But I think some people are being won over who are like, I'm not going to buy this guy. I think he's doing a job to convince people. What do you think, Joshua?
Yeah, put me on the not won over list. I mean, I'll give him credit. He looks like angry guy number 2, and he holds that.
Yep.
He hasn't broken it. He hasn't looked like he wanted to smirk or do anything stupid. So he's at least consistently portraying henchman number 2, and that's good for him. That's fine. And even in the ring, I think you're right. He's not bad. He's fine. But I think his style seems like with this character is less like flashy. It's more like I'm going to beat you up because of how angry I am. In case you didn't see me before the match, I'm very angry and I'm going to fight you. And I think it is actually working. I think, even though I'm not a believer necessarily, I think this is working, and they should kind of keep pushing this direction with him.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there is one note to him, and I mean, clearly the go with him was strip away anything interesting about him, the dopey character. I mean, he was good with the way. I got a kick out of him. That is not a serious faction member character, but instead of just having him just instantly be they just brought him down to almost nothing, and then work your way into it. And so it was strip him down to nothing and then build who Austin Theory is up again. The announcers are really hitting it tonight. They're like, Austin Theory was thinking his career was over and he had lost his way. And he knew that if he was going to have a career and it not be a bust, basically, he had to align with Heyman, and now he has. It is canon that this isn't a guy you're supposed to just instantly think is going to live up to the expectations or the level of the other people in the group. He is, the canon is he's a rehabilitation product because he's a rehabilitation project, because they're baking into the storyline. He was a flop. He was a comedy figure. He was dopey. He was a follower and he was floundering. So that's a story they're telling, and at least there's a self-awareness to it. But Joshua, you're right. I mean, he's got to eventually get beyond mean. But I believe he's a believable version of that right now, more than he was early. I mean, I don't think that's even a controversial statement. I kind of look at him and go, I think he's had a rough week. Like, it's sort of like CM Punk a few weeks ago. Like, he's pissed about somebody online. He's going to die. He cares, but he's pissed about somebody online. But he's going to say he doesn't care about what people say him online. I got that vibe from him this week, and that's a step in the right direction. Paul?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's working. I would contrast him with Maxine Dupree, who Todd jokingly refers to as the shooter, who looks like she's trying to come off as a badass. I just don't think I'm ever going to buy it out of Maxine, no matter what she does. But I think what Theory is doing is working. I didn't like how he responded in the promo saying, "I have a theory." I hope that's not his new thing. I don't want to hear him saying, "I have a theory" every week. And his response to the crowd when they were chanting, what were they chanting, like a-hole or something like that, was, you can't chant that because Seth Rollins isn't here, which that one was a little flat.
No, see, I totally disagree. That was like, there's a crowd chanting something that wasn't in the script, Paul, and he didn't just pause and just continue with the script. He had the wherewithal to say, you can't chant that. Seth's not here. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's like a great line. Maybe if they wrote it backstage, someone would say, we can do better. But he had the confidence to actually be in character and not just stick to a script because he didn't feel he had the agency granted to him to say something that wasn't pre-written. And I don't think they could have forecast that chant or that it was written. And he kind of took the moment and ran with it. I don't think it's going to be like talked about 6 months from now, but I saw that as like a moment of like, I mean, I know we're talking to him like he's a second grader who's learned multiplication, but it was a moment of growth for him that he wasn't just like waiting it out or talking over it. Like, he had the confidence to improvise. Joshua, what'd you think of that?
Yeah, no, they were chanting "You suck" at him, and he's like, you can't chant that. You gotta wait till Seth Rollins comes out, then you can chant that. And like, that's a fine retort. The only thing I had against it was he had started a sentence, they interrupted him, he said that, and then he didn't finish whatever he was going to say. I have no idea where he was going. He just retorted that, and then Logan Paul took the mic. So I have no idea what he was going to say or if it was going to be any good. I don't know what his theory is.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. They left us hanging.
And can we mention he is really good looking? I mean, we gotta throw that out there.
I mean, he's no Roman Reigns, but yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, you can't teach that. I mean, he's got some chiseled looks.
Derek Mitchell says Theory has a physical presence, but he has zero charisma, and it reminds me when WWE and WCW tried to rehabilitate Paul Roma into from a jobber to a serious wrestler. I mean, that could be how he's looked at. I mean, that's what he's got over.
Power and Glory was an underrated tag team, so I take offense.
PWTorch is Rich fan, a big Paul Roma fan. We all have our embarrassing person we were fans of, and then we should have like not admitted it once we got older, but it's sort of fun to admit. But you outgrow it. Although I don't think Rich is. I think Rich would still stand by Paul Roma being the third best horseman ever. Yeah, and Standard Ovation says he also paused to encourage the chant. I think paused to let it build. Yeah. All right. I mean, the Theory thing it's gonna take some time, and there'll be victory parade for somebody because people are so entrenched in one side or the other on this. Although some would say there's very few Theory fans or Theory boosters, but there are. I mean, there are people who, and in our poll, I mean, it was pretty. I think it was more people were in favor of Theory getting this chance than against it, when we ran our poll on the website. So it's not just like this ridiculous thing, but I thought this was his best week and a sign in the right direction. But Paul, you show he's still got both you Paul and Joshua, you both show he's still got a ways to go to win people over.
Or apparently to win a match against Jey Uso.
Yeah. There you go. Well, let's see. Anything else? I want to bring up the Russo thing, actually, a Rusev thing. Also here, Jason Paul pointed this out in his report. If you want Oba to really get something out of beating up Rusev, shouldn't Rusev be doing more in the weeks leading up to it? You've been running these vignettes. Do they not have time on Raw to have Rusev be this brute force guy plowing through some people and being enough of a pest and antagonist, or being antagonistic enough where fans are going to be like, yeah, all right, Oba's going to shut this guy up? Because the crowd, I mean, like, I don't know. I didn't get to, like I said, I didn't get to watch the show in real time straight through like usual. I had to fast forward. But I made a mental note to ask you guys, was the crowd dead, like underreacting to things relative to others? Because it seemed to me that Oba was not getting a big pop beating up Rusev, and that made me, the optics of it are bad because you want crowds going bonkers for him like they do for Trick Williams. And is that because the Rusev isn't over, or is it just the crowd tonight was kind of a little bit under the normal level? Either be jumping.
I didn't notice the lack of reaction, but you're right. I mean, Rusev has zero heat, at this point. I mean, he hasn't even been on TV. I wondered if they were just feeding him to Oba because his contract is up. So in that way, it wasn't like a big Haas confrontation or anything like that. The way that ideally they'd want us to think it is.
Joshua, would you note on the crowd in that segment?
Yeah, no, it did seem kind of like the crowd was not like impressed that Oba was going to take on Rusev. But like Paul was saying, that tracks. Rusev hasn't done anything in months. He's just kind of been skulking about backstage and not even being particularly mean and heelish, just kind of wandering around, being there. And like he hasn't won a match. Did he even win his feud versus Sheamus? I don't remember because it was so long ago. But
yeah, he did. He beat him. Yeah, he beat him in Sheamus' own match and then never capitalized on it. Never went anywhere with it.
Right, yeah. They could have done anything. He could have beat up anybody within the last couple of weeks. Yep. And it would have been helpful at this point. He could have beat up Dominic Mysterio, and it would still give him just a little something.
If the timing was right, he could have beat up Danhausen on like his third or fourth week in the company, because Danhausen would be fine, but at least people would be angry that you beat up, this lovable, zany spellcaster. Is it casting spells? Is that a spellcaster? Is that proper?
No.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In Dungeons and Dragons speak, that is that's a class.
I was wondering. Yeah, it's like I was thinking that probably is a word. I just don't know it, but I wasn't sure. I'd ask. Okay, a super chat from Sean Plitchta. How does Dragon Lee take 4 huge power bombs but then get more offense in? I like him, but Gunther was not the guy for that. I get that. Joshua, what do you think?
But it's kind of implied that Gunther could have pinned him after any of those, and he chose not to. So that's just kind of an arrogant heel getting his comeuppance there. And to be fair, Dragon Lee also hit his finisher on Gunther on the outside, and Gunther still just kind of got up, rolled into the ring, and beat him. I don't think it made Gunther look too bad. It made him look like an arrogant heel who could easily put him away anytime he did.
Yeah, that was kind of the story of the early Becky, the first chapter of Becky AJ is just Becky was like, I can play with my food for a little while before winning, and then AJ showed more gumption and more resilience, and then she started panicking, and then that panic backfired. That was the story of the match, and they told the story. That story I think was told well. It was a good story to tell, and I thought they told it well, which is why I liked the match well enough. But yeah, go ahead, Paul. I
just want to say I love this match. Gunther versus Dragon Lee. This is the best Dragon Lee match I've seen. I really liked how when he had the chance, when Dragon Lee, started to be able to put some moves together, there was a desperation to it of like, I have got to put this guy out, and he seems so motivated. And Gunther matches are always really hard hitting. Yeah, I agree that Gunther didn't pin him because he didn't want to. It was the only thing that was a little odd to me is he went so far as to destroy him and then make him submit, take off his mask, but then he allowed him to just sort of cover up, so no one really saw his face. So it almost seems like that they wanted him to do something really dastardly, but they didn't quite want to pull the trigger.
You want to add anything to this topic, Joshua?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Yep. Anything else from Raw? Any other loose ends or major things we didn't talk about? El Grande Americano, the original, against Rayo Americano. I guess I should bring that up. Joshua, what'd you think?
I don't know if you should bring that up, Wade. The whole Americano thing kind of jumped the shark, at least north of Mexico. Apparently it's doing great in AAA, and God bless them. But for me, they could. I assume they're dragging off Americano versus Americano for WrestleMania, but that's not going to be exciting by then because it's not exciting now unless they got something up their sleeve that I'm not seeing.
Yeah, agreed. The dancing that was happening, it was way too silly. That was the sooner that can be over and the sooner we can have Chad Gable back, the better for me.
What'd you think of the Rhea Ripley Io Sky follow-up and what they did there? Paul, you reacted more than Joshua, so I go to you first as a good host.
Yeah, thank you. I just can't get over how Rhea Ripley just can't seem to keep her hands off Io Sky. I find their relationship so odd. And it's got to be leading to something, but for the life of me, I can't figure out what it is because neither of them can turn heel. That's not happening. Usually when you have the festival of friendship, when people are just so into each other, somebody's going to turn. I don't know what it could be. My only theory is that maybe Jade Cargill just destroys Io as a way to really heat up her feud with Ripley. Not that I've seen any signs of that, but I find it really odd how much energy they put into this mutual appreciation society between the two.
It is something. Joshua, your thoughts?
Yeah, and it's to the point of like being off-putting. Like every time, especially during their tag entrances, while Rhea's like posing on the ring and Io's just leaning over, caressing her, and I'm like, yeah, goth girl on Asian girl. I mean, maybe they've seen my search history and they're like, but that's like half the internet. I don't think I need it to be part of my wrestling also. But otherwise, I thought Rhea's promo, unrelated to that, was decent, and I like that she's calling out Jade. It seemed like her and Io are actually going their separate ways. Like she's going over to SmackDown to deal with Jade, and she's leaving Io here. Although Paul's suggestion of Io getting destroyed by Jade at some point is probably still going to happen. That would be a decent way to put some heat on the match, which otherwise just has big girl versus big girl heat, and that's kind of the beginning and end of it.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a question. So the Rhea Jade stuff has been online. And I'm kind of curious where this goes. Yeah, it was Pun LV19 says, Wade, do you have any insight on whether the Rhea Jade Twitter beef turned into a shoot? Yes. I mean, I asked. I mean, there's legit heat there. So, I mean, from someone who doesn't lie to me about this stuff. I mean, because I hope to no, come on, Wade. It's not multi-sourced, but I mean, like I believe like it's crossed the line, and there's some legit heat there. I think the locker room is largely going to be on Rhea's side on this one. I mean, I've heard just Jade is, not. There's different pockets, and I don't hear from all pockets of the locker room or everybody, but Jade is not the most popular person, and some of that might be unfair, because you didn't pay dues in the same way, and it can be just something you get sick of trying to overcome. You're like, hey, I didn't make myself this offer. I didn't decide to be this tall. Yes, I work out, but don't hold that against me. So people can be mean or unfair, but the fact is, I am being told that the locker room is going to be pretty unanimous on Rhea's side and cheering her, dishing on it. So there's my take on that. I don't know what that bodes for their future on-air interactions, but I'm not sure if they'll put a hot mic in front of both of them in the ring. But if if what I'm saying it gets aggregated or more people comment on it, I mean, there'll be people wanting to see that.
Yeah, I just hope we don't get another Charlotte Flair Tiffany, because that was ugly, and not in a good way.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I mean, and that's where I guess that's kind of where what I think of with Punk Reigns. Like, are you pulling from people's memories of when things just feel like? I don't think people want to feel like the wrestlers are there to entertain me. I'm against it, but I think people want to feel entertained by the world that the wrestlers live in and that we get to look into. And when it just feels, and when it feels like, no, these are just professionals who despise each other and are unleashing on each other, it can be uncomfortable. Some people like that. Other people feel uncomfortable with it. All right. So Rude Dog said, was that Rhea saying I'm heading to SmackDown till Mania? Because it almost seemed like a goodbye. I had to speed through some of that. So you guys speak to that. Joshua, was that what it looked like?
Yeah, that's how it landed to me. Was EO, you're going to stay here on Raw. You're going to go fight for the AJ title, and I'm going to be on SmackDown from here on out. Like I said, I assume they will come together at some point between now and then. But for the foreseeable future, that's kind of at least what they were making it seem like it's going to happen.
Rude Dog says Jade was super sweet to me when I met her outside an AEW event. And Sadler Version 3 says Jade seems to be disliked by the locker room. I don't know where you got that, Sadler, other than I think you put that out before I said anything. But I mean, maybe that bleeds through on TV, or maybe that bleeds through in some social media interviews you've known. Comment on that. Let us know why you're thinking that. So Rhea can just go to SmackDown? Ask Goodfella. She can just go there? I mean, I guess if you win the Chamber, yeah.
Well, already people can kind of just go wherever they want. They have been really loose on that lately, but especially in this situation, since she's the #1 contender for that title.
Yeah.
At least makes sense now. They do it without explanation and not making sense all the time. So at least this one I can forgive.
I criticize WWE because they know they don't adhere to it the way they should, so then they don't explain it when they can, because they don't want to draw attention to the fact when they don't explain it that it's actually a rule. They just don't. It's inconvenient to explain. But I would be in favor of them going, hey, for those wondering, Rhea's still under contract to Raw, but she has a free pass, in fact, contractual obligation to go to SmackDown now that she's going after that championship. I mean, just say it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Sadler says, okay, Chelsea, Piper, and Nia took shots on Twitter that didn't seem like a work. So that's where he's getting that. So I didn't know that was going on, but to that degree. But yeah, that backs up. That backs up what I'm hearing directly from the locker room that it's a shoot, and the locker room's on Team Rhea on this one.
I wonder if that's why she hasn't really had any feuds or so few. That I wonder if there's an element of people not wanting to work with her.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure that could play into it. I think the major thing is WWE feels invested in her, and they don't want to expose her. Like in situations where her veneer will kind of crumble. The more she's on the mic, the more she's in the ring, the more they feel what they've invested in her won't get, they won't get their money back. So let's limit what she does and protect her. But if you don't have a veteran want to take you under your wing, or if you're Jade and you're not humble enough, if that's the belief to accept it, then you don't get caught.
It seems like she's fought Michin like 100 times, and they're actually going back to that yet again. So I don't know if that's an element that Michin and her get along well.
Yeah. Sadler says Piper alluded to Jade being a bad wrestler. You don't need to allude to that. You just need to watch her match. And she's injured right now, maybe permanently. So why would she work something on Twitter? Standard Deviation said Rhea's promo is great, so she can channel that energy into something positive. It could be good for Rhea's reemergence as a top shelf main eventer. And Jumping Jeff Farmer says, how will she learn to be better just sitting on the sideline? She needs to work. Yeah, catch 22. But that's why NXT might have been a good spot for her. Just working in front of a crowd and getting better, and not just I mean, it's been a slow journey for her to get better. I know Derek Mitchell said earlier, why does everybody give Austin Theory all these chances to get better and they're so hard on Jade? I don't know. I mean, I think Jade's just been locked in a certain zone of when will she really get better for a longer time.
Right. And Austin Theory's not world champion holding down a brand. He's last member in a multi-person group.
Yep, indeed.
Oh yeah,
Well-
and he's Seth Rollins in the ring compared to her. I mean,
There we go.
he was never awful.
Yep. Um, anything else, Paul, from tonight's show? Any
So,
backstage segments or anything? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Liv Morgan's promo was interesting. They're finding an angle between her and Stephanie Vicaire, and the angle seems to be, yeah, I'm privileged, but I'm just better. And she said something about Vicaire living in a mud hut or learning in flea-infested rings. So pretty offensive. I think that angle could work between the two. So I dislike her.
All right, Joshua, anything else you want to bring up before we wrap up here?
Yeah, no, I agree with Paul. That was a fine promo. That was Liv saying, "Yes, I'm privileged. Deal with it."
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfectly good look for a heel, especially against Stephanie, who is going to be a liked face either way. So yeah, there were people thinking they might pull a double turn on that, but like this was a solid heel promo. There's no halfway on that one.
Yeah, interesting. Yep. That's something I didn't get to watch, so I can't comment on it. All right, I could have watched it. I chose to watch other things in the limited time I had.
And it weirdly cut between full frame and then like widescreen a couple times. That threw me off the way they shot it.
Okay.
But her delivery and everything I thought was good. It was well produced.
Yeah. Cool. Joshua, anything else?
No. I think just overall, I think it was mostly an enjoyable show. I thought it was mostly good. There wasn't anything ridiculous except for Danhausen, which is supposed to be ridiculous. That's fine.
Derek Mitchell sent a super chat he just reminded me of, so let me pull that up here. Derek says, thank you, Derek, once again. Appreciate your generosity. I called Tiffany the WWE version of Sydney Sweeney, but after the live video tape promo, I thought I was watching American Eagle jeans commercial with a white woman talking about her superior jeans.
Well, at least with Liv, it's intentional. With Stephanie or with Tiffany, she's supposed to be a baby face and still comes off that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you don't want that. Good fella, by the way, says I'm waiting 3 to 4 episodes before I dive into DTF St. Louis. AKOSK is very good. A lot of heart in that series. So TV recommendation there. See, there's a couple other chat comments I marked here as I wrap up. Seeing if anything. Let's see. Darrell Freeman says Dom is Amazon based for people who like to fly. He is also very good in the ring. That's a reason all the guys want to wrestle him, because he's never not in the spot, and you can trust him. All right. That's good. Can we have 7 more weeks of promos with Punk and Roman and no physicality? I think that is absolutely worth mentioning as we wrap up here. What do you do now with Punk and Roman? I mean, two promos that are slightly different versions of the same format. I'm going to shoot on you. No, I'm going to shoot on you. You made me mad. I really dislike you. Everyone in the audience, I really dislike him. Believe me when I tell you I really dislike him. I dislike him more, and here's why. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, what do you do from here, Joshua?
Well, to their credit, they have Roman for the majority of the Raws going forward, so that's a good starting point.
16th, 23rd, and 30th, and then the 6th is off, but then the 13th. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, which is more than I would have guessed at the outset of this, so
yeah,
it's good for them.
They could become best friends and break up in the next 6 weeks. Like we gotta have a whole story arc here. Charlotte
championship and everything, and then will they get along? I don't know.
Probably they can be forced to team together. Things got too heated last week. We don't know if we're going to make it to WrestleMania. So Adam Pearce has said they're going to have to team together against, Seth's mask guys or something, some nonsense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, but as far as going forward, I think they could do, I assume they will and should do like a sit-down interview with each of them for a week. And I think they could get to WrestleMania without any physicality. I don't think they will. I think it will boil over at some point because it is already very heated.
Although they also, as... is it Drew? Drew who called Punk brittle? Brittle CM Punk, or did Roman call him that? I mean, yeah. So yeah, like if Punk is genuinely brittle, I mean, it was a little dangerous to put him in there with Finn, but Finn you can trust. That's one of the reasons Finn was the opponent, the chosen opponent. I mean, I'm a little worried if they get physical. One of them could end up getting hurt, and then where are you? I don't say that facetiously, like genuinely. Like I mean, be careful. I mean, Punk got hurt like leaning into the crowd in AEW. People blow out their Achilles left and right in peak physical position who are 15 years younger than 20 years younger than Punk.
Punk's been wrestling like every week for a year. He's not that brittle.
Well, true. I mean, it is. I'm not saying it's a fair criticism, but it's a legit problem if it happens. And you just get in a big scuffle. You get in a big scuffle. Someone look at LA Knight. Every match he almost gets hurt. Someone said he almost hit someone driving the ambulance. Is that true?
That's on brand.
It's very on brand. Yeah. Oh man,
I do want to say I loved him being the ambulance driver. That reminded me of like Attitude Era, stuff.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate the "I'll take it from here" line. That's very Stone Cold classic.
Was it too cheesy, or did it work? Or was it cheesy at all, or did it just work?
I thought it worked. I thought it was fun. And it really was the sort of cherry on top of the crap sundae that the Vision had, with everything going as wrong as it possibly could.
People said that there's a little worry that Roman and Punk might go too far. Roman could talk about Larry. Derek says Roman is talking about Larry. Did Roman bring up Larry?
He did not. That would dead father is one thing, but dead dog is a do not cross line.
Oh, you're going to be heel if that's Roman turning heel. If he brings that up, that is unforgivable territory.
Let's not bring the bracelet back either, please.
Yeah. Mr. Freshman says, I thought both guys were underwhelming. Fanner says, I feel like Punk got the slight edge tonight. Promo seemed crisper than Roman's, who flubbed a few words. Still very good overall. Mr. Freshman said that was an incredibly low shot by Punk and unnecessary for their story. Similar comment here. Cavanti Small says Punk and Reigns will need to do more than have promo battles the next 6 weeks. That'll get old quickly. Jack Reeves says, Mr. Freshman, I usually agree, but that made it personal and made Roman take him seriously as a threat. Sean voted for Reigns being better tonight. Derek Mitchell says, whoa, that was a hell of a line. Not a fan of bringing up people that passed away. Darrell says tonight was a good night for promos. Fonner, did I just read this? Fonner said, nice ending promo, but it seemed like the last line was a bit unnecessary and aimed at shock value. Yeah, I don't think I read that. And Sean Pletcher said, yeah, it wasn't the greatest line, but they got some real zingers in. But Jack Reeves said, glad Punk was given that ending because otherwise Roman would have just been made to look like the only thing WWE cared about. Obviously, this was, I think, designed and constructed, Joshua and Paul, to not have one just plow through the other. Like, I think there was as intense as it was, and as much as they wanted to give the impression we're going places that we're not supposed to go, and it's a shoot brother, they didn't want it to be one-sided by design, and I think they both in their mind are like, I want to say things that maybe I feel or I once felt, and I'm going to pretend like I still feel that way, or things that are believable and in a reputation, even if I'm going to embellish it through exaggeration a bit. But they also, in the end, knew to sell this match and to just kind of have harmony for real, you don't want to go too far and you want balance. And I feel like you can see in the chat, there's disagreement on who edged who, but nobody thinks someone just plowed through the other. Joshua?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. That it's like that in their first promo. Like, they both looked good and both had some stiff shots on the original promo. And then Roman got the final word on that promo, and then this one was similar. They kind of went back and forth, and then Punk got the mic drop and walkout moment. So I think they've come out pretty much even thus far.
I want to watch both again, just back to back, to kind of like freshen my memory on what they did the first time and compare it to what they augmented or changed or how they came across differently, because they're, two very big deal promos. It's the as someone said, like the one selling point for WrestleMania right now that's really feels WrestleMania specific worthy, not something that could be on just a regular SmackDown or Saturday's main event. Paul, you're going to jump in? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Joshua that Punk sort of won tonight, but he was sort of scripted, to win, and Roman sold it at the end with the mic drop. So regardless of who gave a better performance, I think it's gone seesaw, and I agree also that Roman seemed to be given the edge in their first encounter. So there's a balance now.
Brian Bayless says, I thought, while it was still the best thing on the show by a considerable margin, the Reigns Punk face-off felt a lot more forced than I thought it would. Mike Good says, nice ending to an otherwise fine show. Andrew Lansdell says, dead family member comments are cheap heat. It's so below people with the promo ability of Punk and Roman. Get that. Derek Mitchell says, agreed. No reason to bring up Roman's dad seeking to get cheap heat. They have enough animosity without it. If someone mentioned Larry, he'd lose his mind. I won't just take that to get him to lose his mind. Jack Reeve, I was doing other things mostly tonight. Didn't hold my interest very well at all. And then Darrell says, Rowan and Punk show people how to cut a promo with using real-world talking points like they have been listening to Wade's show and not make it feel like they're being too insider with it. Ironically, I thought they were maybe a bit too insider, or that they just needed to, frame it with a little more deliberate canon framing. But, I mean, this wasn't, like, highly offensive. It was more me questioning. I was more asking questions, loaded questions, but questions like, did it seem like maybe they make people turn people off to the whole thing more than, and that's the risk with face-face matchups, and then, thinking shoot promos make everything seem, more real. Yep. So, Sean Plitchett just says, I thought Roman's delivery was the same as always. I didn't feel a difference. Roman's just cool. He's not going to, that's what made him an ineffective babyface, because he couldn't act like he cared, about retaining a championship or fan support. Like, he's just like, he'd chill. Like, he and Phil are very opposites in that way. I think there's a way to tap into their opposites without damaging each other's brand. And that's what I'm worried we're going to get, tonight a little bit, and maybe in the next, multiple occasions that they interact. So,
and was it just me, or did Roman call him an emotional lady? That was an unusual dig. Did you guys catch that?
Did you, Joshua? I didn't.
I don't remember typing that. I may have missed it though.
Yeah.
If so, that is a weird, strange dig. That.
Yeah. I don't want to be critical of in case that just Paul, you misheard something.
My closed captioning thought it heard the same way I did, but it did seem like such an odd thing that I questioned it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Ian says, Punk did incredible. This is interesting. Cavante, sorry, we'll wrap up a second here. Cavante said, do you think Roman Punk feel added pressure to sell their match this year, unlike previous years where WrestleMania's brand sold the show? That's not the case this year. That's interesting. Like, am I picking up on an aura of desperation seeping in a little bit? Like, we got to go. Maybe I mentioned that a little bit earlier in a different way, that there's like kind of pressure. We have to make people feel this is a big match because it wasn't something we've actually been planning for years. And there's some weakness to this face-face matchup with a part-timer versus, Punk with his baggage. Joshua, what do you think?
Yeah, that was actually, I think I said this earlier. When they first announced, like when this match was set up, like, I don't know if this is going to be great. Like I said, I think they sealed it with the first promo exchange, and this one also followed up on it decently. But yeah, they probably do feel extra pressure, because if you ask anybody now, like, what is the match you're looking forward to at WrestleMania? It's this. I can't think of anybody who's looking forward to anything else on the card more, unless you're a giant Rhea Ripley fan and you hate Jade, in which case you might be interested to see how real that gets. But this is, like, hands down the biggest match on the card, and it's getting the biggest spotlight. And I think they've risen to that occasion, but I bet they do feel extra pressure to make sure that they continue to make it big, because WrestleMania ticket sales are what they are, and the card is what it is.
Yeah. And Darrell was one I was thinking of here. I found the tweet, or the chat comment. WWE needs Punk and Roman to be at another level right now, because they have to be there so it can lift the whole weekend when you don't have another hot match that is even a second place match right now on WrestleMania standards. Fauner 916 says, nitpicking aside, the rivalry comes across like there's genuine hatred between them, which makes the last line from Punk even more forced and unnecessary. And Ian says, like Punk didn't need to get the last word in. One other JC Scooby, I did mention flag this. How does Roman know that all Punk does is complain backstage? Roman's never there. I guess that was something that could have been said, but then Roman could go, well, I talk to people. I'm not a loner like you, or so I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he said that's what my cousins tell me.
Okay, there we are. Yeah. And then not related, but a follow-up. Mr. Freshman's the one who said Cole brought up Roman's tweet during the PLE after Punk's match. So there you go. You had to watch basically the commercial break on Saturday on ESPN in order to know, but it was technically officially entered into canon. It's like a congressional speech that you just officially in middle of the night read it when no one's there, and it's officially in the record, but no one knows you did it. So there we are. Reigns' aura, says GWF ESPN. Reigns' aura dwarfs Punk at this point to me. Fauner said, I also like that Roman spotlighted the title by stating that he wouldn't care about Punk unless he were the champion. Is that spotlighting the title or burying Punk? Maybe both at once. Yeah. Cavante says, I hope the Ray Gia feud isn't 80% social media spats without tangible developments on TV. Yeah, for sure. And dare I say finally, Mark Biscotti says, neither one of them came across as being confident in the story they were telling. I felt the same way about Rhea's promo. It felt too contrived, the opposite of their last face-to-face. That's why I want to watch both of them and maybe kind of dissect any differences in tone there. All right, cool. Any closing words, Joshua, from you?
No. Check out the report on PWTorch. It's there. It's
the Raw, Josh,
written.
your Raw
Very
report,
long.
well written and long.
It's 5,000, 6,000 words for some reason. I don't know why.
You did it live.
Commercials tonight. Paul, did it seem like there were extra commercials tonight?
People
Oh my God.
It was insane.
Hey, it helps me when I'm trying to compress an hour and a half show, a 2 hour, 20-minute show, whatever it was, into like 50 minutes. I mean, I need those video packages and commercials.
That Penta match, seriously, you were right. It had about 4 commercial breaks in it. It was it was really hurt by that. Yeah.
Paul,
Well,
any closing words from you?
Just always great to talk wrestling with you, Wade, and so great talking with you too, Josh. I hope we do it again.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Paul.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat. Thanks, everybody, for your support of what we do. Please like the show. Please comment below. Subscribe to our channel if you have not yet. The 40-some chats since I last refreshed, I'm not going to get to because we've run long. But thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you all next time. I'll put the VIP message up here if you're interested in getting VIP content, including the Wade Keller News Bulletin, audio versions, and PDF and text versions. Sean Radican's been doing interviews, VIP exclusive interviews, along with his weekly news reports and analysis. Nikki's Club, really interesting take on AJ in the Hall of Fame last week. That's a really good listen. That's now VIP exclusive. Nick Barbatti, for those of you familiar with his work on the PWTorch Daily Cast. Lots of good stuff that on the VIP side of things, and some things I don't talk about as often as other things. So go VIP, check it out. You can unlock it all on Patreon with a 7-day free trial. Just search PWTorch VIP. Unlock all VIP shows and commercial-free versions of these free shows when you go VIP on Patreon. Again, 7-day free trial. You can also sync that up with Spotify if you sign up through Patreon. So if you're a Spotify user, that's a good way to go. You can also search PWTorch on Apple, subscribe for free to the charcoal gray logo that says PWTorch VIP. There's some free samples there for everybody, but you can get I think it's a 3 or 4 day free trial through that platform on Apple using the native podcast app on your iPhone. And then you can roll that over into a membership using your Apple account. So that's pretty frictionless. Get full details on a full VIP membership, which is PayPal, credit card, debit card. That gives you access to our ad-free website, customizable podcast feed, and also our on-demand archives going back nearly 4 decades now. Just some really fun rabbit holes you can go down if you go VIP. So check it out, everybody, and we will talk to you tomorrow on the flagship, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. Standard Deviation with a shout-out to Nikki's Club. Sean Plichta says, Nick's one of my favorite people to talk wrestling with in the chat. Let's see. I by the way, when people tune out, they miss the late chat comments that I usually throw up on the screen, kind of like the closing credits for WWE. So it's good to stick around and watch to the end.